Melbourne is the backdrop for what is going to be a dramatic climax to the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. A wonderful spring day around the St Kilda Road precinct, and the crowd is really starting to build up. Hello and welcome to the 56th edition of Australia's oldest stage racing event, the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. And what a stunning finale we have got for you. There's 4 riders that can win this event. There's 2 Aussies and 2 of the international raiders. Matt Wilson, the Victorian, is in yellow by just 3 seconds ahead of Swiss rider Steve Morabito. Then there's Trent Lowe from right here in Melbourne on his home track, and the big Dutchman, Just van Leyen, is going to be hunting them down. Could we see a stunning finish like we did last year when Robbie McEwen came over the top to help his teammate Simon Gerrans to take the Tour title? If Baden Cook or Stewie O'Grady can get involved, it is going to be a stunning finish. After 700 kilometres around provincial Victoria, this is how the week has unfolded so far. The local and international riders were looking for Tour gold at the start in Bendigo. Astana's Aaron Kemps won the Classic, while the first day of road racing to Nagambie saw Matt Wilson from Unibet.com sprint away to claim the leader's jersey. The Shiraz Grapes of Mitchelton Winery started stage 2, but it wasn't long before the riders were seeing red at a train crossing. Wesley Solzberger was making his run to take the stage.
The German rider Weisenhoff attacked and I was on his wheel, my brother was on my wheel, so we slipped away and it worked out perfect.
The bushfire-ravaged areas around Tolmi were a part of stage 3, steep descents into the King Valley with Koji Fukushima's kangaroo impersonation almost bringing him undone. The bunch gallop at Beechworth, keeping Wilson in yellow for a second day. Stage 4 was a heartbreaking 30-kilometre climb to the top of Falls Creek, with Dutch rider Just van Leyen getting the lead by just 8 seconds. But stage 5, his Tour dream evaporated, penalised 20 seconds for motor pacing, handing the yellow back to Wilson, while one Kiwi rider needed some extra work on his outfit after falling on the last corner. Yesterday's time trial was claimed by Steve Morabito. He stormed home to win in 11 minutes and 32 seconds, but the local Hope Wilson rode the ride of his life to hold the yellow by just 3 seconds.
It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. He hits a line. 11:43. He retains the lead by 3 seconds.
So Matt Wilson, after a really tough year with Unibet.com, he's without a contract next year, but this tour has been a revelation for him.
I mean, my team's done such an unbelievable job. Like, me and Baden have been on classification, so it's been 3 guys pretty much that have controlled this whole race. So I've got nothing but confidence in them to control it. I completely shocked myself. This whole tour I've shocked myself. The only thing that gave me confidence today was the fact that I'd shocked myself all this week.
Let's hope he continues to shock them. In the general classification, he's got a 3-second advantage over Morabito. Trent Lowe 14 seconds down, and Just van Leyen 23 seconds behind. Going to be very hard for the rest. In the savings and loans, King of the Mountain, that title's been decided. Bernie Solzberger, the Tasmanian, 2 points ahead of Morabito. The portfolio partners sprint tighter. Wilson out in front because he's higher on general classification over Roland, and Cook, one of 5 riders, on 12 points. Let's have a look at what confronts the riders today. It's a 2.5-kilometre criterium starting at Linlithgow Avenue, then down St Kilda Road before coming back from the city end towards the Domain Interchange and the Shrine. It will then turn back on itself, heading back inside the Tan and home. So make sure you stay with us, because we're about to get underway after this break for what's going to be an amazing finish to the Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
The judges are at war with each other.
I'm sick and tired of it, damn it!
The only thing they can agree on is that this week will be the toughest idol yet.
This is the time for you to stand up and be counted as an artist.
Tonight, the tables will turn.
The judges will pick the songs.
They will take the heat.
Outrageous, outrageous, I know.
When the judges are the ones under pressure, anything could happen.
Shut up, clown!
The idol drama begins 7:30 tonight.
The sleeping giant has woken, but don't be afraid. While he's been asleep, he's been dreaming up giant savings for all your bedding needs. When you purchase a Sleepyhead double, queen or king size mattress, you'll receive 2 latex pillows valued at $200 and a Pura Down wool quilt valued at $140 for free. And free delivery anywhere in Metro Melbourne. Come into one of the Sleeping Giant stores for giant deals. The Sleeping Giant, the right bed for everybody.
Here at the National Hair Institute, we've led the way in hair transplant treatment for more than 10 years and helped thousands of people treat hair loss. I'm not just the medical director here, I've also had a hair transplant myself. And I've co-written this comprehensive book titled How You Can Beat Hair Loss.
For a free copy of How You Can Beat Hair Loss, SMS your full name to 0429 Dr. Hair or visit our website at www.drhair.com.au.
Contact the National Hair Institute now.
Spot the difference in these two cars. Both feature V6 3-litre engines, are aerodynamically designed with auto transmission. Give up? The car on the right costs twice as much to run as the one on the left, and LP gas conversion saves 50 to 60% on fuel costs. Our state-of-the-art Sprint gas components give you great performance and less pollution. Call 1300 Easy Gas. From $400 with the government subsidy. We make gas as easy as you do.
Shoes, shoes, shoes. Men's shoes, ladies' shoes, kids' shoes at Shoes Direct. A great selection of top brands at heavily discounted prices. Don't miss out on kids' footwear. Perfect for school from $10. Men's range, great for that special occasion from $20. Be spoiled for choice across our women's shoe range. Also starting at $20 per pair. For quality family and fashion footwear, look no further than Shoes Direct. 2 huge stores with fantastic prices daily. Sydney Road, Brunswick and Main Street, Croydon.
Hit the road in a Jayco camper trailer. Hit the road in a pop-up or caravan. Australia, you're in Jayco country. From the great outback among the highway, from the snowy to the great ocean road. Hit the road. We're living in the Yarra Valley. Jayco's so easily told. Hit the road. Hit the road today with Jayco comfort. Hit the road with Jayco quality. Australia, you're in Jayco country.
Welcome back to Melbourne, the scene for the final stage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Linlithgow Avenue, the riders are assembled, and I'm joined by Matthew Keenan, who's ridden this tour once before and commentated the Tour de France this year, and David McKenzie, an 11-time stage winner of this event and a winner of a stage at the Giro d'Italia. Good afternoon to both of you, Matthew. It's a fascinating finish. Who would have thought for the second year in a row we're going to decide the Tour winner on the final day?
Well, I want to take you back to 1996 then, David, if I can indulge myself for a moment. The year I rode the Tour, Matthew Wilson was making his debut in the Tour. We started with a team time trial and a circuit race around Echuca. Matthew Wilson was at the back of the field, just desperately trying to hold on, as we see Stuart O'Grady on screen. We're 90 minutes away from the completion of an 11-year journey from the back of the peloton to the yellow jersey on the final day of the Tour for Matthew Wilson.
And what a journey it's been. I mean, this is a guy who has survived Hodgkin's disease. He actually retired for a couple of seasons. He was working in a kebab shop, would you believe? His teammate and very good friend, Baden Cook, inspired him to get back on the bike. And like you said, here he is. He's a 3-second lead and just 80 to 90 minutes away from taking the victory.
Top 10. Has got 5 internationals. It's been such a quality lineup this year, and the racing has been so fascinating from the beginning. We started off last Sunday in Bendigo with the Jayco Classic. It was won by Aaron Kemps, the boy from Bundaberg, and then Matthew Wilson won the opening stage from Bendigo to Nagambie, and he's held the lead for all but a day. There's been plenty of drama. There's Jus van Leyen. He had the lead after climbing magnificently up Falls Creek, and then got a 20-second penalty for motor pacing, as did the man in second place, Steve Morabito, who's just 14 seconds behind. So there has been no shortage of drama. We're just a minute away from the start. There's the Lord Mayor, John So. He's going to do the official duties here to get them underway. It's 80 minutes plus 3 laps. We've got 16 seconds of time bonuses out on the road. So this race is far from over. Van Leyen, he's going to find it difficult to get up to the top spot, and we're not too far away from a start. John So just about to get them underway. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So they're on their way, and after 700 kilometres, 16 hours in the saddle, the top 2 riders are separated by just 3 seconds. We are set for a fascinating final stage.
It is sure to be a nervous final stage as well. We'll see the first lap is neutral, it's under control. The race commissaire is just right in the front there. He's got the pedal with red. And once we get through this first lap, it'll turn to green. Those 2 intermediate sprints that you spoke about, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and 1 second up for grabs. They come at 10 laps of racing covered and also at 20 laps of racing covered. We can just see on the left-hand side of screen, Matt Wilson in the yellow jersey, just coming into picture now as he glides through. He's going to have plenty of support, though, with Baden Cook, Jeremy Hunt and Jimmy Casper on the Unibet team.
He has, and they are 3 very important riders that you just mentioned. Obviously, Cook, we know a lot about him. He won the green jersey in the Tour de France and a stage previously. Jimmy Casper, a very good Frenchman, won the first stage of last year's Tour de France. And then Jeremy Hunt, he's had very good form. He finished second only to Robbie McEwen in the great Paris-Brussels Classic just last month. And there's 2 of the stars on the front, Grady and Cook on the right-hand side of the screen. 2 superstars, and I must say it is just amazing to see O'Grady back on his bike and performing well.
He has had that nasty crash in the Tour de France where he broke 8 ribs, fractured a couple of vertebrae, punctured his lung as well, was in hospital for a month, 3 months out of racing. This is his first race back, and he performed pretty well yesterday also. And he's going to be looking after the interests of Trent Lowe, who sits in 3rd place in the general classification, 14 seconds behind the yellow jersey in in Matthew Wilson. So he's still in there as well.
Well, it was fascinating to hear Stuart O'Grady during the week and talking about how scared he was on the opening stage of the Jayco Classic, and then his first major ride back. He'd only been doing about 10 serious sessions and has decided to start his 2008 campaign now. He's got a big year. He wants to ride the Tour Down Under in January and then, of course, defend his Paris-Roubaix title and then go off to the Tour de France and then ride the Beijing Olympics. It's a big, big year. There's Jos van Leyen, and just a penny for his thoughts after what happened the other day. He punctured 65 kilometres into the stage. The front of the peloton attacked, and Matthew Wilson and Stuart O'Grady raced up and said, guys, you can't do this. We've got to wait until the tour leader gets back on. But his team manager made the fatal error of towing him straight back up to the front of the race, and the team manager admitted that he'd made the mistake afterwards.
Firstly, it was a great sign of sportsmanship by Matthew Wilson by telling the other Australians in the peloton just to say, let's have respect for the yellow jersey in Van Leyen. But Van Leyen, I think he was in a real panic. The Dutch team have come out here with just a national team, so they're guys that don't normally race together. It looks like he's just checking whether he's got a flat back wheel. His teammates didn't wait for him. They didn't go back and try and collect him and drag him back to the peloton. His team car changed the wheel, and then he stayed behind the team car all the way up to the back of the peloton. Now, what he should have done is just gone to the rear of the cars and then slowly worked his way up through the long convoy, and he would have got there eventually. It was just that momentary lapse of concentration and probably just a little bit of panic.
You're dead right, Matt. It was a little bit of panic. They're a fairly young squad. Their manager is also a young guy, so I think on his behalf, and as you said, he did say that he did the wrong thing, but it was just really blatant. We saw it on the TV screen that night, and the way he did it, it took him right to the back, and he's lucky that he got away with just the 20-second time penalty.
Well, there's a lot of discussion earlier in the week because Steve Morabito, the Swiss rider, riding for Astana there in the blue and white colours, the light blue and the white top on the shoulders, and Morabito, there was a lot of discussion that day about whether Morabito was actually going to remain in the race. Such was his infringement. So both of those guys copping 20-second penalties, and the commissaires have been very consistent. Wayne Pomaro from Canada is the chief commissaire, and they're just approaching the little right-hander and then the left back into Linlithgow as they go up Government House Drive briefly. And when they get to the start-finish line, after doing this parade lap, they will be underway.
You see Matt Wilson in the yellow jersey on the left-hand side of screen, starting to move his way forward. Just having a little bit of a chat to one of the New Zealanders on the Mitchelton Wines team in Timothy Gutzel. Wilson and Gutzel will know each other very well because they both live near each other in the south of France. Gutzel riding with the former professional team of Matthew Wilson in Frances Dejeux. And as we said at the start of this tour, David McKenzie, Wilson, to get a big contract next year, is virtually riding for his career here because he's yet to sign a team. We said a stage win wouldn't do it. He'd have to win the thing overall. He's 90 minutes away from doing that with a 3-second buffer from Morabito.
He's very close indeed, and I think we can both admit we really didn't see him as a big favourite leading into the race, and that is normally the case, as here we see them getting underway.
So the race is on. We're a little over 80 minutes away from deciding the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Can Matthew Wilson crown what has been a fantastic career as a helper as a winner in 2007? We're going to find out over the next hour and a half.
Craig McCartney it is from the Savings and Loans team, the 27-year-old from Geelong. He's had a pretty good tour. Trent Wilson is launching the first attack. He was a winner of a stage last year into Ngambie. It was Matthew Wilson this year into Ngambie.
David McKenzie, you're a criterium specialist. You've won 11 stages of this race. What are your expectations of what's going to happen in this stage?
Look, I think we will see the unibet.com squad of Matt Wilson. They will be hoping for an early breakaway. That way, that breakaway group can take the bonus seconds and even possibly the stage. They're not even really worried about the stage win, so that is what they want to happen. The Astana boys, they will want to keep it together. They will want to get both of these sprints, and you can see now the Astana guys near the front, and they've got a strong ally in Aaron Kemps. He won the Bendigo Classic, he won the stage into Beechworth. He will be very good support for Steve Morabito.
Kemps is going to be absolutely vital for Morabito, but the one wild card that the Astana team have got up their sleeve is the fact that they've got the teammate in Julian Mazet sitting in 5th place in the general classification. He's 39 seconds down on the race leader Matthew Wilson. It is a long way, but if he goes into the breakaways, as we see the Dutchman trying to get away with Patrick Shaw on his wheel, if Mazet gets into the break, that's going to force Unibet onto the back foot.
You talk about the Unibet team, they are full of class because they've got 2 stage winners at the Tour de France in Jimmy Casper and Baden Cook. They've got Jeremy Hunt, who's a canny rider, a fierce sprinter. He's as tough as they come, and we've seen already during this tour that Matthew Wilson has surprised himself on a number of occasions. He climbed magnificently. He rode absolutely brilliantly yesterday. I think he shocked everybody. He said he shocked himself. It was a beautiful ride. He just judged it perfectly. So, you know, he's got good legs at the moment, and he's in this situation having worked for everybody else for his entire career. He's not only riding for a contract next year, but really today he's got the rest of his teammates riding for him because they would love to see him win.
Jason Allen of the Mitchelton Wines New Zealand team leading him around that corner. And Matthew Wilson yesterday said it was the first individual time trial he's really ridden in anger for a long time. You've spoken about how he supports other riders. When it comes to an individual time trial, normally Wilson tries to take it easy, so as he's fresh the next day to help the likes of Baden Cook. But yesterday really did pull one out of the bag. And Morabito is a class act, and for Matthew Wilson to stay in contention was pretty impressive. It looked like that might have been Chris Yongerwood, who was actually in a similar situation last year when he finished second in the Tour behind Simon Gerrans.
It is, you're correct, it is Chris Yongerwood. We did expect more things from him this week, but he has played a good support role to Trent Lowe, and he's just trying to have a dip off the front. I think they're trying to open it up, get a form a breakaway. All of the teams that don't have riders on the general classification, they will be the guys that we see trying to break away.
So just a reminder of the situation in the race coming into this stage. Matthew Wilson from Unibet, he's got the yellow jersey on and the green nicks. He's leading the Tour by 3 seconds from Steve Morabito, the Astana rider. Trent Lowe is 14 seconds behind him, and then Jus van Leyen is 23 seconds behind. But we've got 16 seconds in time bonuses out on the road today, so theoretically speaking, Trent Lowe can still win the Tour, but really it's going to come down to a battle between Morabito and Wilson in the 2 intermediate sprints, and then the sprint to the line to complete the Tour for 2007.
What is also up for grabs today is the sprints classification, the portfolio partner sprint classification. The man in the red colours just in the centre of the screen at the moment is Dominic Rowland. He starts today in 2nd place on a count bat behind Matthew Wilson. Wilson wears yellow because obviously that's the most important jersey in the race, but they're locked together on 30 points. Had a little bit of a chat to Dominic Rowland before the stage got underway. I asked him what the plan of attack was. He says, I want to take the red jersey home in my own right. I have to pick up some intermediate sprints or possibly win the stage. And he's going to have some good team support as well on the Bicycle Superstore team.
It's amazing, really, when you look at Rowland. He's going for the sprint jersey. That's all he wants the points for. Wilson, he only wants the points for the yellow jersey, but they are both going to be battling it out for exactly the same sprints. So it's really going to make it tough for Wilson because Rowland is a very versatile rider. He's used to racing on the US Pro Circuit. They have plenty of criterium, so he will feel right at home here. But Wilson also, obviously growing up in Melbourne and around Australia, we race plenty of criteriums here as well. So he'll feel pretty comfortable, and of course with his 3 teammates to help him, he'll be happy about that.
So no surprise that Rowland, the Canadian, 24 years of age, and Van Leyen is still sitting on the back. So obviously there was some issues with the bike early for Jus van Leyen. It's been a drama-filled week for him, and the problems early have continued. If they do have a flat tyre or a crash, they can have a lap out and rejoin the peloton in a circuit race like this. And if that happens in the final lap, they get up to the final lap to have that mechanical. So if there is an issue with, say, Matt Wilson and Steve Morabito as they come to fight down the finish, if it is with 1 lap to go, they can have that lap out and rejoin the race. And if they do crash on the final lap and they're all together, then he finishes with the same time. So that's the situation in the race. You can see Roland, he's up the road by about 75 metres at the moment as they come at the end of St Kilda Road. It's about 1.2 kilometres the journey down St Kilda Road. They're heading back towards Linlithgow Avenue. Magnificent boulevard. It's the first time we've been here. The last couple of years we've had the final stage in Lygon Street in Carlton, which has been a magnificent finale to the tour, but this year it's all part of the Melbourne Cycling Festival. We've got the portfolio partners around the bay and a day on today. There's 15,000 recreational cyclists off around the bay in a number of different events, and they will return here to the Botanical Gardens precinct throughout the afternoon, so we can expect the crowd to really build.
Well, Dominic Rowland now just being joined by David Pell. He was one of the men that got himself into the big significant breakaway on the first stage to Ngambie. Pell currently sits in 11th place in the general classification. He is having the tour of his life. He's in the form of his life. The Bendigonian has got himself in a handy little break with a strong Canadian.
He has, and look at the cadence he's pedalling there. He's pedalling a lot smaller gear than Rowland. You're dead right. He has had great form. He only had that slight hiccup up Falls Creek. He lost about 5 minutes, but for a guy who really is not a noted climber, he shouldn't be disappointed, and I don't think he is. The team have really supported him well. He's thrown himself out there. He's an opportunistic rider, as we see the ever-familiar colours of the Jayco Australia team, and it's Stuart O'Grady. We've talked about him before the start, an amazing comeback, and here he is on the attack.
Well, I think Stuart O'Grady wants to go away from this tour with a win. He's been in a couple of breakaways. We saw him in the break on the stage to Beechworth. He rode a good individual time trial yesterday, finishing in 11th place. Dominic Rowland will be happy to have a bit of company with him in the form of David Pell. We saw the flick of the elbow there from Dominic Rowland to get David Pell to come through. The New Zealanders are trying to make sure they're up there in contention as well.
Yellow jersey about, there he goes, Matthew Wilson. He's about midfield at the moment as they enter their 4th lap, and the Dutch boys with Van Leyen still at the back of the pack as they go around into St Kilda Road once again. It's the early stages of the final stage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour. We'll be back with more action after the break.
You've all seen money. You use it every day. But could you honestly answer this?
Which denomination note features excerpts from The Man from Snowy River?
Is your answer on the money? Find out Wednesday.
Hit the road in a Jayco camper trailer. Hit the road in a pop-up old caravan. Australia, you're in Jayco country. From the great outback among the highway, from the snowy to the great ocean road. Hit the road. Blooming in the Yarra Valley, Jayco so easily told. Hit the road today with Jayco comfort. Hit the road with Jayco quality. Australia, you're in Jayco country.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Here's the hottest new thing from Red Rooster. Skin-free smoky chili tenders. Melt in your mouth chicken tenders in a smoky chili marinade. Freshly grilled when you order them. And served in a fresh baked baguette, wrap, or just straight up. So if you're ready for a hot new flavour sensation, it's gotta be Red.
Hey, what are you doing? I didn't know you liked my bike that much.
I don't. That's why I'm taking photos. I'm selling it. Done. The ad with photos, a video and text with full description and contact details are all online, just waiting for a buyer.
What?
I've just sent it to Message It. You can send text, videos, pictures and audio of anything you want to sell just by using your mobile. Anytime, anywhere, for under $5. Why are you smiling?
You'd better strip, baby. I just sold that new designer dress you're wearing.
What? I'm gonna kill you. How could you do this? It's my favourite dress.
500 shutters in 5 days at up to 50% off, only from Modern.
Have we got to pack these 500 shutters?
Nah, at 20 to 50% off, they'll fly out the door, just like us.
Fly into Modern now for the Modern 500 shutter 5-day sale. 500 shutters must go in 5 days, and they're all priced to clear at up to 50% off. Transform your windows from this to this, and the more you buy, the more you save.
Did he say save?
Shut her up in your face. Read my beak. Modern it.
Call 1311 78 now.
When two hot guys are trying to win your heart, girl, you've got it pretty good.
Tomorrow.
Oliver.
Riley.
Is this about to become a showdown? Neighbours, tomorrow.
Welcome back to the final stage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour, the Arts Centre, St Kilda Road precinct of Melbourne. It's a perfect location. It's Melbourne's Champs-Élysées, and we've got 3 riders away. It's the Japanese national champion Ashihiro. We've got Tuckerman from the Mitchelton Wines New Zealand team, and Benjamin Jarks-Mains, who rides for the Bizzle powered by Schramm team, the American who rode so well yesterday in the time trial.
He was 3rd place yesterday in the time trial, 4 seconds behind Morabito, but what a brilliant season 2007 Jarks-Mains has had. The rider on the front of this leading group of 3 at the minute. He was 2nd place overall in the National Road Racing Calendar Series in North America.
That's right. He is a very strong bike rider, very good time trialist, and you can see the style he's riding here. He doesn't have any handlebars sitting out front there for the viewers at home. It's just his hands resting on top of the bars. It's a very aerodynamic position.
Well, we're only a couple laps away from the first of our 2 intermediate sprints, with the 3 seconds, the 2 seconds, and the 1 second up for grabs in the bonifications on the line. For Matthew Wilson and the Unibet team, this is the ideal situation, because with these 3 riders up the road, Morabito doesn't have a hope of closing that 3-second gap on Matthew Wilson. So for Unibet at the moment, they'll just be watching and waiting and looking to see whether we'll have the Astana team come to the front and try and reel these 3 back in.
So that's the obvious tactic for Unibet. They're going to try and control the chase group, but for the Astana boys, David McKenzie, they need to start to organise themselves. Otherwise, they're in danger. We see one rider, it looks like a Drapac Porsche rider, trying to get across to this group of 3. The Astana guys need to start to organise themselves with a bit of haste.
They do, because as I said earlier, this is a very technical course. And once you get a break of about 20 seconds, it is almost easier for the breakaway to stay away. They can ride faster through the corners, they work smoothly together, and you can see here these 3 riders, they're working well together. They know what they've got to do, and they know that Wilson's squad will want to let them go.
Tuckerman it is at the back of the Mitchelton Wine New Zealand colours. He's actually represented New Zealand at the World Championships as a mountain bike rider, and the man who's 3rd place overall in this race is Trent Lowe, who's been a junior world mountain bike champion. We don't need to tell you about Cadel Evans and his experience on the mountain bike. It looks like it's the tall, strong figure of Stuart Shaw on the Drapac Porsche team making his way across to the break. This is ideal for him. He was 2nd place on the stage to Beechworth. The only one that was good enough to beat him was Aaron Kemps. He was on the wheel of Baden Cook coming into the sprint, and he said, well, Cook wasn't going fast enough. I had to step out a little bit earlier than I wanted to, and it is Shaw who's made the break.
He's a strong bike rider, Shaw. You just look at the stature of him. He can just power along, and the stage into Beechworth, it really suited him. It was an uphill finish, and he jumped off Cook's wheel, cleaned him up, and then it was only Kemp's got him in the last 30 metres. So this is a very good group of 4 riders here, 4 strong bike riders. They could have a chance to ride away here.
Well, magnificent camera work as we see Tuckerman at the back, and talk about a bird's eye view of the action. You mentioned Cadel Evans before. He's now the #1 rider in the world after taking the Pro Tour rankings last night in the Tour of Lombardy. So that's a magnificent effort for Cadel Evans, the #1 rider in the world in 2007.
And you can put that right alongside the 2 times that he won the World Cup in mountain bikes as well in the late 90s. What an extraordinary year it has been for Cadel Evans, the first Australian to get onto the podium at the Tour de France, finishing in 2nd place. He also rode a brilliant World Championships in Stuttgart just a couple of weeks ago, where he finished in 5th. And the World Championships, of course, are going to be held in Melbourne and Geelong in 2010. Maybe Cadel can become the world champion on that occasion. Hopefully there's a nice big hill in the road race for him.
How many years do we have to wait for that?
Just another couple of years to go, and I'll start the day clock very shortly.
So this group, well, they're starting to just edge away a bit now as Jarks-Mains takes over in front from Ashihiro. The Japanese riders, they've lost 3. Inui, Miyazawa, and one of the Shimizu brothers exiting the race early. And we saw at the very beginning of the program, Koji Fukushima, who's just been so entertaining. He wore the Volvo Most Aggressive jersey for a couple of days. He gets the harmonica out at every opportunity. He told us at the team presentation on the opening day that his goal here was to see a kangaroo, and he got up on the stage and he said, I saw a kangaroo today, I'm so excited. Unfortunately, the kangaroo was died. It was on the side of the road. Bit of regional Victoria roadkill, but he was still excited. You've got to admire his enthusiasm.
He's an unbelievable rider and a person. He is a real character, and it's great to have him at this year's race. But I did see him a couple of years ago at the Tour de Langkawi. He went on a solo break for 160 kilometres. It was 40-degree heat. Now this is a race that has got some really big teams, they're Pro Tour teams. They let him go, they thought we'll reel this guy back in, no problems. When they started to chase, he just kept powering along and he won the stage and took the yellow jersey.
Speaking of the conditions today, it's certainly been the hottest day of autumn so far. It's 33 degrees the top temperature, and driving in at 9 o'clock this morning it was 27 degrees, so it's pretty steamy. There's a bit of cloud cover. You can see that they're not casting too much shadow out on the road, and it's a pretty well covered course in terms of the tree line. But what will the difference to the conditions today make with that temperature?
Look, normally I'd say if it was just a 1 hour criterion, probably not much. But adding on that extra 20 to 30 minutes will make it tough. Jumping out of these hairpin bends, lap after lap after lap, will certainly hurt the legs and the riders. It's a real mental game, these circuit races.
Well, one man who's feeling the pressure already is Tuckerman from New Zealand. He's lost contact. We saw when Stuart Shaw rode across, he looked over to Tuckerman to say, can you just slot in here for a minute? I need to recover because I've just bridged the gap. And Tuckerman just shook his head. He said, no, mate, I need to get to the back and try and recover myself. And it's the power of Benjamin Jacques-Mains, the man at the back of the group here wearing number 41, along with Stuart Shaw. They're the two strong men in this break. Arashiro is the Japanese national road champion at only 23 years of age. He's not going to have quite the same amount of grunt as Shaw and Jacques-Mains.
That's right, and you can just see there's 12-second lead now, so they're just hovering out there, just sticking out there. But the Japanese rider, I'm impressed with him. He's swapping turns with them. These are two very big, strong boys, and he's riding in there along with them. No problems at this stage. So if those three can just, communicate with each other, share the workload, they may have a chance.
14 teams start the tour. 7 riders each team. Interestingly, the Unibet team only started with 5 from the beginning. They only started with the minimum number, but at times like this, all of a sudden these 3 riders form their own team. They are the team of internationals. There's an American, an Australian and a Japanese rider, and all of a sudden they're riding in the same colours because they want to work together.
They'll be forming an alliance now, but let's see what happens if they survive up until a couple of laps to go. I think the knives might come out. But exactly what is going to happen at this point is they're just going to try and work together as much as they can to try and build up that lead. The first of the intermediate sprints isn't too far away. Don't expect these 3 riders to contest that intermediate sprint because they won't want to break up their rhythm. They're just going to want to try and build the lead before we get into the final couple of laps so as they can't get reeled in by the Astana team.
Yes, and you see Shaw there, he's really got the face on at the moment. You're dead right, they just want to establish this lead, and normally the hardest part of a breakaway is the first 5 to 10 minutes. But if we look at the back of the screen there, you can just see in the corner there's about 4 or 5 riders that have nipped off the front. This could add force to that break, so if they can get across there, this may make the break stronger, but also it may also cause a reaction from the peloton to start a chase.
Well, just noticed the jersey, the portfolio jersey of the sprint competition leader, or he's actually in second place that competition, but Dominic Rowland from the Bicycle Superstore team once again has got himself in the breakaway. Clearly, he wants to get that jersey in his own right. Pedestrian, if you don't mind just moving off the road, got the dog in tow as well. Let's hope we don't have the same sort of incident as we had from the Tour de France on a couple of occasions.
Well, I was just thinking back to the entire week in the on the Tour radio, dog on the road. It was a regular call because at the Tour de France, the dogs made their presence felt. As we can see, one of the SouthAustralia.com riders who's had a lap out just waiting to get back on. And we have got nervous the entire tour whenever there's been a dog, particularly one without a leash. But even at the Tour de France, it didn't seem to make any difference whether they were on the leash or not. They seem to make their way onto the road. We're on lap 7 here at the moment, so they'll get the bell on lap 9. And that will be the warning that the next lap is the first of the intermediate sprints. There are points on offer for that sprint jersey and also the 3 seconds time bonus. But for these guys who aren't featuring in the general classification, for them it's just the opportunity to get a bit of glory and spend a little time on our live coverage.
just looking for the opportunity, as you say, to get that stage. And we can see the pale blue colours of the Astana team starting to make their way up towards the front. And we'll look for the Luxembourg national champion as well, and Benjamin Joachim, or Benoit Joachim, I should say, is a former teammate of Lance Armstrong. He's been a dual champion of Luxembourg in the time trial and on the road as well. It's going to be his sort of power that is going to be required to bring these three back if Morabito is to stand any chance of getting the 3-second time bonus that is up for grabs.
That's right, and you can see now that group, it's swelled to about 10 riders. Benoit Joachim trying to get across. Now, we have to remember, the Astana team is a very strong team. We cannot underestimate them. They've pretty much wrapped up the team's classification. There's Dominic Rowland in second wheel, the sprint leader. Wilson isn't concerned if Rowland goes in a break. He will only be sprinting for it if it is a bunch.
It's good to see that Sean Higginson was in that breakaway group as well a couple of nights ago when he was walking down South Bank Boulevard on his way back to the hotel. He got king hit from behind by a couple of thugs and picked himself up and just started running and got back to his hotel as quickly as possible. Good to see that he's not too badly injured and has got himself in the break now.
So we're approaching the first of the intermediate sprints. We've got 3 riders away. After the break, we'll find out who takes out the first sprint.
.30 Monday.
Are these the children of the corn?
I'm not sure that's my daughter.
Could one of them be the child of
Dean Winchester? Wow.
In a brand new, scarier season of Supernatural, has the past finally caught up with one of our heroes?
It's not, is it?
What?
It's new and stream direct. Supernatural. Monday.
Brunswick Street Cycles have put the fun back into bikes. We have a huge range of bikes and accessories to suit anyone. And with stores in Greensborough, Fitzroy and the CBD, we've got you covered. Whatever type of bike you want, we've got. And right now, we have up to 15% off last year's stock. Our staff know their stuff. You can test ride your bike and take it home straight away. With up to 15% off last year's stock and our take-home lay-bys, you can get cycling straight away. Brunswick Street Cycles at Greensborough, Fitzroy and Elizabeth Street CBD.
In the prestige all-weather comfort of Melbourne's Rod Laver Arena. Saturday, October 27. Jump Mania Mega Wheels, Mega Horsepower. With USA versus Australia in the full-on family show. International Monster Truck Super Test. With Batman the Super Truck. Plus very first sighting of Scooby-Doo. Backflip Mania FMX. Laser Light Show. The Awesome Globe of Death. Zany Fast 50s. And All-In Demolition Derby. Scooby-Doo Jump Mania Rod Laver Arena. Saturday, October 27. Book through Ticketek now.
Why would you buy a no-name brand sewing machine when, for the same price, you can have genuine Janome quality?
Like this Janome 2008 for just $199.
We've got embroidery machines, overlockers, quilting machines, all at heavily reduced prices.
And our customers just love their free lesson.
Not only do we give you the best price, but we spend time with you to make sure you get the best advice.
Call 1300 Janome or visit your nearest Janome specialist today.
Spot the difference in these two cars. Both feature V6 3-litre engines, are aerodynamically designed with auto transmission. Give up? The car on the right costs twice as much to run as the one on the left, and LP gas conversion saves 50 to 60% on fuel costs. Our state-of-the-art Sprint gas components give you great performance and less pollution. Call 1300 Easy Gas. From $400 with the government subsidy. We make gas as easy as you do.
The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, out now. Only on Nintendo DS.
Brunswick Street Cycles have put the fun back into bikes. And with stores in Greensborough, Fitzroy and the CBD, we've got you covered. With up to 15% off last year's stock and our take-home lay-bys, you can get cycling straight away. Brunswick Street Cycles.
The Shrine of Remembrance stands powerfully at the end of St Kilda Road as the final stage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour continues. We're not too far away from the first intermediate sprint. The 3 leaders, Stuart Shaw riding for Drapac Porsche, Benjamin Jacques Main riding for the Bizzle team, and Ashihiro from Japan have now been joined by Trent Wilson riding for the Jayco Australia squad, rides for Jittery Joe's in the USA, and he has got across to them.
It's been a pretty impressive ride for him to get across, but we've seen the reaction from the peloton as well. The riders from the Netherlands team are up towards the front. I did pick up the picture. It looked like we had Brett Aiken in this chasing group as well. He's a man who's Olympic Games gold medalist on the track with Scott McGorry in the Madison in Sydney in 2000. This is the sort of circuit that will suit him, and it looks like very shortly we're going to have a big group together. In fact, the main peloton's not too far behind either.
Yes, you can see there the gaps are closing up, so it is going to possibly be a bunch sprint for this first sprint, and you can see the Jayco Australia guys there. There goes Wilson through the hairpin corner, so he's sticking right near the front.
We also saw that Morabito was staying there or thereabouts around with Wilson, but at the back of the group for the whole race has been Van Leyen, the man who lost the yellow jersey to Wilson on the road into Wangaratta. As at the front, it's just a little bit organised. Once again, Arashiro, the Japanese national champion, has been the man to go on the attack. The Japanese team have been one of the most aggressive in this year's race.
Just noticed back in that group too, Eric Wahlberg, the oldest man in this field, the 42-year-old former Commonwealth Games champion. He's there in the Canadian Bicycle Superstore colours, the yellow, to help out Dominic Rowland to try and get up for this first sprint, because he wants those points to take over the lead in the Portfolio Partners sprint classification in his own right. There he is, Eric Wahlberg, just in second wheel, so he's just starting to move into position.
You can see now the gap has suddenly opened back up, but the group has swelled at the front. There's almost about 20 or so riders there, so if this goes away, the boys will want to do their maths fairly quickly. If they're wired up, they'll be getting some information from their team directors, making sure that there were no riders from that overall classification in that front group. So it's going to be very interesting in the next 2 to 3 laps to see what happens here, what the reaction is from the peloton.
Well, Arashiro still got himself off the front of the group. It's Astana coming to the front now, trying to set up the sprint for their man in Morabito. Morabito, the 24-year-old from Switzerland. He's won a stage in the Tour of Switzerland in the past. He's already had 2 stage wins in this year's race. He won the stage up to Falls Creek, and he also won the individual time trial yesterday. We're approaching the bell lap or the whistle for the first of the intermediate sprints, and there's Stuart O'Grady at the back of this group. No yellow jersey, so we're looking to see yellow jersey of Morabito in the main peloton.
We would, but I tell you what, I noticed, I think, 3 Astana jerseys in that front group. The third one was Benway Joachim, so he wouldn't stand out as much, but 3 riders there, and I believe one of them could be Julian Mazet. So this is a little bit dangerous for Wilson and Cook. They don't want to let Mazet in the breakaway, as it looks like it's Wahlberg on the front there, the 42-year-old veteran. Look at him power along. He's a really small guy, and he wants to drill this. He's a time trialist, so he'll be enjoying this breakaway.
Well, Eric Wahlberg, as you mentioned, trying to set it up for Dominic Rowland, who goes around the corner just in third wheel. That is Reece Pollock, who was just in front of him in the white and black colours of DFL Cycling News. And haven't they had a brilliant tour? They've been absolutely extraordinary. They've won a stage into Wangaratta with Cameron Jennings, and they've also got the King of the Mountains classification wrapped up, courtesy of Bernard Solsberger, who was in third place on the stage into Mansfield when his brother won. So for DFL Cycling News, it has been a tour to remember.
Well, he's an animal, Eric Wahlberg, and I remember a few years ago he won the stage into Warrnambool, and he bridges across the Great Ocean Road all by himself as they get the bell. So they are now on the sprint lap, and there's a big group there. There's probably 25 or 30 riders in this group. Stuart O'Grady at the back, the oldest man in the field at the front. And Dominic Rowland, as you would expect, is going to follow the wheel of Eric Wahlberg, and hopefully all the way to the line. He'll peel off, and hopefully for him, collect the sprint points. None of the dangers on the general classification appear to be there. We've got an Astana rider, but it's not Morabito.
It's not Morabito and it's not Mazet. The first Astana rider there is Aaron Kemps, the Australian who won into Beechworth. He's made the group. It looks like Jeremy Hunt in the white and green colours of Unibet, or it might be Golas, the Polish rider on the Unibet team of Matthew Wilson. But all that Dominic Rowland and Eric Wahlberg are worrying about at the moment is collecting the points on this sprint so they can get the Portfolio Partner sprint classification sewn up. 42 years of age, he does 1,000 sit-ups each day. He was a Commonwealth Games gold medalist in the time trial back in 1998. Will he ever stop?
I don't think so. I think we're going to see him here for the Worlds in 2010, and he'll probably be riding the 100th edition of the Herald Sun Tour. The Sun Tour, the fun tour, the riders call it. He's irrepressible, Eric Wahlberg, and they're just starting to organise themselves now as Rowland. Well, he's that keen. He wants to get to the front already, Dominic Rowland. He's not in the yellow colours of the Bicycle Superstore Canada team because he is already wearing the Portfolio Partners sprint jersey. He's equal on points with Matthew Wilson in that classification. They're tied on 30. Of course, Wilson, he's not interested in duelling out for that jersey because he's got the tour lead. They do have 6 points up for grabs here for the win, 4 points for second and 2 for third in this classification, but really it's between Roland and Wilson for the sprint classification. So if Roland gets some points here, he'll take it out.
He will. I don't really expect to see anyone challenge Roland. They know that it's so tight at the top. There's only the two that can win it, so I can't imagine anyone trying to sprint him for this. It's pointless for them. They want to be thinking about the stage finish, not the sprint. And if you do try and go for one sprint, it can sap some energy from your system. So I expect to see Roland really comfortably take this one out.
Normally when you're leading a sprint classification, you have your teammate lead you out and you just take care of cleaning up the points. Well, Dominic Roland is so desperate to get to the line first and make sure he secures that jersey that he's doing most of the work himself, and Eric Wahlberg is just trying to keep up with him at this stage.
Well, Aaron Kemp's the Astana rider is not too far away, so you need to keep an eye on him. In the blue, the light blue, Kazakhstan Railways sponsored team. Of course, one of the Pro Tour teams, 2 Pro Tour teams that are here along with Unibet. It's been a real elevation in the tour this year with the introduction of the Pro Tour teams. And now it's Wahlberg, as we expected, who's going to lead this one out for Dominic Roland. Bizzle rider just tucked in behind him. The Dutch boys just getting the instructions on, is this the sprint lap or not?
I think they might be getting some instructions that they may have had a mechanical problem and might have had a lap out and rejoined the race in the wrong spot. That was one of the commissaires on the motorbike that was trying to get things organised. As we see Kemp's launch a bid to try and pick up the points. Dominic Roland trying to respond. Aaron Kemp's from the Astana team, the winner of the road into Beechworth. He also won the stage. The classic, in fact, it was into Bendigo. But Dominic Roland to go across the line in second place, that will give him the outright lead in the sprint classification.
So Kemp's has just snuck away, and he's going to take the first sprint ahead of Roland. So Roland now goes into the lead on his own right in the Portfolio Partners sprint classification. Kemp's takes it out. Looks like one of the Dutch riders got up for third.
So that'll give Dominic Roland the outright lead in the Portfolio Partners sprint classification. The Dutchmen are there as well. We might see a little bit of a break start to eventuate here as just having a look over the shoulder is Aaron Kemp's to see who has joined him up towards the front. Dominic Roland looks fairly exhausted after chasing to try and go across there.
It was a smart move by Kemps. You saw him hit out well before the sprint, before the last 200 metres, in fact, through that corner. Got Roland on the line by 2 or 3 lengths. Roland really should have been paying more attention. I think he believed what I thought, that no one would challenge him for it. But you can never think that. You've always got to be having eyes in the back of your head, and on that occasion, he didn't do that.
It's also the ideal time for a smaller breakaway to try and get off the front. As we see, Dominic Roland is still trying to get himself back on terms, because that breakaway group that we had, as we look at Aaron Kemp's here, just going through, just doing his turn of pace at the front now, is Wizanski, the 30-year-old from the Bizzle team powered by Schramm. He's actually the New York City Criterium champion as well, so he knows about circuit racing.
So with this 131 was third in that sprint, and that is Camille Denis, the Dutch rider. And the good news is for Matt Wilson, he'd be very satisfied with what's happening so far, because none of these riders have got any challenges on the general classification, so those time bonuses at the moment are not important for Matt Wilson. And there he is, just surrounded, as you would expect, by the Unibet riders. Well, Simon Gerrans has won the last 2 tours. He didn't ride this year, he's had a massive year, and he is with Ian Cohen.
Boys, Simon Gerrans, welcome back obviously to the scene of your victory for the last couple of years, but tell us about Matt Wilson, a mate of yours obviously. What sort of night's sleep would he have had going into the last stage, a bit like you last year?
Oh, if he had to sleep anything like what I had before the final stage in last year's Jayco Herald Sun Tour, he wouldn't have got much sleep, so he would have been pretty nervous coming today. Mind you, he's got a great team here. He's got Tour de France stage with in Cookie and Jimmy Casper. They're letting him out if he has to take any sprint bonuses today, so he's probably got the best team in the race to look after him.
He's certainly sitting very comfortably. Another rider you'd know well, Trent Lowe, obviously, he's up there for Jayco Australia. Yeah, Trent's had a great time trial yesterday, moved himself up to 3rd overall, and he's got a good team around him also with Stuart O'Grady and Nick Gates, last year's runner-up, Youngwood's there beside him, so I think he'll be pretty confident holding on to his 3rd place as well. Last year, luckily, you had Robbie McEwen to help you across the line. What's the feeling in the stomach when you're just doing lap after lap thinking, come on, let's get this done?
I tell you the truth, I don't remember how well of the stage. I was that focused on what I was doing at the time. I knew I had Robbie there leading me out, and I had Matt Wilson there swinging on my wheel, making sure no one was coming past. So I had a good group of guys looking after me as well.
What about for you, AG Tuhar? You rode with this year, but a change of team for you next year in Europe.
Yeah, that's right. I've spent the last 3 seasons with AG Tuhar. I've been a fantastic team. I had the opportunity to compete 3 times in the Tour de France. I thought it was time for a change, so I've signed up with another French outfit, Crédit Agricole, where I'll be racing alongside Mark Renshaw and also Jeremy Hunt in that setup, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Simon, we'll let you go and cheer for Matty Wilson. Thanks for the chat.
No worries.
Simon Gerrans, boys, 2-time champion.
Great to see him back, and we saw yesterday with Hilton Clark, who's been another prodigious stage winner of the Herald Sun Tour, on hand to just support Matt Wilson and all the Australian cyclists that are here. And as Matt said yesterday, he's got so many family and friends here. His girlfriend Megan, his mum Leslie are all in attendance today to watch him, and all of those that have been involved in his career and have helped him along, they're all cheering for him today. And at the moment, things are panning out well for the tour leader.
And it was great yesterday to see both Hilton Clark and Simon Gerrans come down and show their support. They're both back here again today to watch their mate in Matt Wilson go around and hopefully hold on to that yellow jersey. Just to recap the 3 leaders that we've got in this breakaway group. Aaron Kemps, it is from the Astana team that is at the front of the group. Camille Dennis from the Netherlands team in the orange colours. He's sitting in second wheel at the minute. And at the back of the group from the Bizzle team powered by SRAM is Scott Zwizanski. Camille Dennis is pretty familiar with racing in Australia. He's ridden the Jayco Bay Cycling Classic in the past, and he also rode this race last year as well. They've now got a 19-second gap, and none of these men are contenders in the overall classification. So again, it's unfolding quite nicely for Matt Wilson.
It is, and you just mentioned Camille Dennis. He did the 203 Bay Cycling Classic. They are one of the hardest criterium races in the world. The Dutch, they have a lot of criterium races in their home country, so he will be right at home here, and he will be just trying to, sort these 2 guys out with him, use them up as much as he can, and, it turns into a real mind game and tactics, but you can see here this group now trying to get across, and O'Grady, again, on the front, driving it. This guy is incredible. I mean, he even had a real go yesterday in the time trial. He finished 11th in the time trial, lost only 19 seconds. Even though he is a bit of a specialist, still, to do that after what he has gone through this year was amazing.
It's a decade since he last rode this tour, Stuart O'Grady. And a lot of the stars, as we look at the 3 riders, Denise, Kemps and Zwizanski, a lot of the Australian riders, this has been the race that has launched their careers. We've talked about Baden Cook quite a bit, the teammate of Matthew Wilson, grew up in Benalla. In fact, Simon Gerrans himself from Jamison in the high country, and they've watched this race go past their primary school or their high school. Of course, Phil Anderson from the high country in Victoria, Cadell Evans, and now the likes of Robbie McEwen, not a Victorian, but we still love him, Robbie McEwen, who raced last year. They're such standard bearers for the likes of Aaron Kemps and Alan Davis, young sprinter who's making his mark on the world scene. And it's no wonder that Australia now have the best bike rider in the world in Cadell Evans, and we've got 3 of the best sprinters in Baden Cook, Robbie McEwen and Stuart O'Grady, although Stewie's legs are getting a bit old now that he's not quite battling it out for the green sprinters jersey at the Tour de France, but he hasn't written that off as a goal for 2008, such as the hunger of O'Grady.
I don't know how he's going to fit it in next year, Stuart O'Grady. This is the beginning of his preparations for season 2008. He's going to be trying to defend his title at Paris-Roubaix in April. He's then going to be heading to the Tour de France in July, where in the past he's been second in the green jersey competition. He's won multiple stages, worn yellow, and then we've got the Olympic Games just a couple of weeks after that in Beijing, where he'll ride the road race and hopefully, for Australia's sake, defend his gold medal in the Madison.
It's an amazing schedule. There's no question about that. Wouldn't be a bad trifecta, would it? Have a great Paris-Roubaix, go back-to-back, ride magnificently in the Tour de France, and then just go off to Beijing and collect a couple of gold medals.
It'd be an extraordinary performance, and it'd be all done at 35 years of age. He now finds himself in a chasing group behind our 3 leaders, who have got a gap of around about 12 seconds or so. O'Grady looking to get himself a win in this race. When he was last year in 97, he picked up 2 stages, yet to get the win this year.
43, just approaching 44 minutes into the race at the moment, and there is the leader, and things at the moment are working perfectly for Matt Wilson as he searches for the title here in 2007. Stay with us, more action from St Kilda after the break.
Who would you turn gay for?
Stephen Curry's back for more Rove action. But if you're not into man love,
check this spit out.
The Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne.
What about this?
Sneaky Sound System with their latest hit, On Road, 9 o'clock tonight.
Spot the difference in these two cars. Both feature V6 3-litre engines, are aerodynamically designed with auto transmission. Give up? The car on the right costs twice as much to run as the one on the left. An LP gas conversion saves 50 to 60% on fuel costs. Our state-of-the-art Sprint gas components give you great performance and less pollution. Call 1300 Easy Gas. From $400 with the government subsidy. We make gas as easy as you do.
Here at the National Hair Institute, we've led the way in hair transplant treatment for more than 10 years and helped thousands of people treat hair loss. I'm not just the medical director here, I've also had a hair transplant myself. And I've co-written this comprehensive book titled How You Can Beat Hair Loss.
For a free copy of How You Can Beat Hair Loss, SMS your full name to 0429 Dr. Hair or visit our website at www.drhair.com.au.
Contact the National Hair Institute now.
The sleeping giant has woken, but don't be afraid. While he's been asleep, he's been dreaming up giant savings for all your bedding needs. When you purchase a Sleepyhead double, queen or king size mattress, you'll receive 2 latex pillows valued at $200 and a Pura Down wool quilt valued at $140 for free. And free delivery anywhere in Metro Melbourne. Come into one of the Sleeping Giant stores for giant deals. The Sleeping Giant, the right bed for everybody.
Did I put it on?
You put it on.
I put it on.
Off is a new generation insect repellent. I don't think I've got it on.
You've got it on.
Off is non-greasy and pleasant. Doesn't feel like I've got anything on.
You've got it on.
Well, I've got it on.
Off even smells great. Are you sure I've got it on?
Are you being eaten alive by mosquitoes?
No.
Then you've got it on.
Try the convenience of Sleep Mini Spray. Pump and aerosol also available. Off feels great on, keeps bugs off.
Hit the road in a Jayco camper trailer. Hit the road in a pop-up caravan. Australia, you're in Jayco country. From the great outback among the highways, from the snowy to the great ocean road. Hit the road. Blooming in the Yarra Valley, Jayco's so easily told. Hit the road. Hit the road today with Jayco comfort. Hit the road with Jayco quality. Australia, you're in Jayco country.
What's this guy's name?
Rove.
Rose.
Rove. Like R-O-V-E, Rove.
Rove. A guy called Rose.
The one and only Ozzy Osbourne on Roads, 9 o'clock tonight.
Welcome back. The MCG, the greatest sporting stadium in the world, the only stadium to host an Olympic Games and a Commonwealth Games. Melbourne Park, the venue for the Australian Open, and then Government House as we pan across the Shrine, the Botanical Gardens. If there's a better setting for a bike race, it's only the Champs-Elysees.
I don't think there's a better sporting precinct. Imagine bringing a guest from overseas here and taking that aerial shot and saying we fit 100,000 in that stadium there, the MCG, duck across to 15,000 in at the Rod Laver Arena for the tennis, go just adjacent to that for 5,000 for an indoor velodrome at Vodafone Arena. It really is an extraordinary sporting precinct, and Aaron Kemps is putting in a pretty good performance himself on the streets of Melbourne.
I'll tell you what, he has had an amazing week. We mentioned earlier he won the Classic in Bendigo just prior to the start of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. He won the stage into Beechworth very impressively. The camera shot from behind saw that he came from about 10th wheel, just showed the class that he is. He's only 24 years of age. He comes from Bundaberg, not a real cycling mecca in Australia. So, you know, he is a class act. And here's Matt Wilson looking a bit more relaxed now that there's enough riders away. He knows he's got Morabito and Mazet and Jus van Leyen back behind him. Trent Lowe is also back in the peloton. So he'll be relaxed a bit now, I think.
He did look very relaxed, and he had Steve Morabito just sitting behind him, and Morabito at this stage doesn't look like he's going to fire a shot with the 3-second time difference because he's got Aaron Kemps in this breakaway, and Kemps is driving to try and get himself the stage win. But that's not in the interest of Morabito, because Morabito needs to be the man to get the time bonuses. He needs to be the one at the front, not Aaron Kemps. Maybe Morabito has conceded to Matt Wilson.
It's interesting, isn't it? We haven't seen them really, Morabito. In fact, we haven't hardly seen Morabito at all. Well, we talked about this weekend being part of the Melbourne Cycling Festival. It's brought together the Around the Bay in a day. It's one of the biggest recreational cycling events in the world, and the final stage of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. And down in the pits, Ian Cohen is with the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, John Sow.
Yes, thanks very much, boys. And Lord Mayor, what a great race we're seeing so far today.
Yeah, this is fantastic for Melbourne. It's wonderful to see so many people coming out.
It must make you very happy with the St Kilda Road precinct, the Botanic Gardens full of so many people. It must be great for the city.
Yes, on a beautiful day like today, we can see thousands of people coming out here having a good time.
We're seeing some of the best in the world out on the track. What about you? You ride the bike a bit yourself?
Yes, I love riding bikes, but I hope to keep my balance, not falling.
You don't want to be falling over. You get a nasty rash on the streets of Melbourne.
And everyone on the bike.
You must be very proud to be the Lord Mayor on a day like today.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's allowed to see Melbourne at its best.
Lord Mayor John Sow, one of our biking enthusiasts here at the Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
Thanks, Ian. You can see the Chief Commissaire, or the Commissaire 2, Greg Griffiths, in the car just behind the leaders as these three riders, Camille Dennis, the 24-year-old from the Netherlands, he's in the lead at the moment. Scott Wazanski is the 30-year-old US rider riding for Bizzle, powered by SRAM, and then Aaron Kemps, the boy from Bundaberg, 24 years of age, and they are starting to open up a gap. And it's been a bit. The only thing that's been disappointing with this race this week is we haven't seen a devil. And given that we've had the Astana riders here, and they are sponsored by Kazakhstan Airways, I felt certain that we would see a Borat and a Mankini at some stage. And
I think you were hoping to see.
Well, I actually wasn't hoping. I certainly wasn't hoping, but I thought we might get a Borat out on the road. Maybe we might, as the race just goes past the 50-minute mark. Reminder, 80 minutes plus 3 laps, and we've got the second intermediate sprint coming up shortly at the 20-lap mark.
Well, the fact that the Commissaire's car is behind this leading group of three is a fair indication that they've got a pretty handy sort of a gap. 30 seconds is the gap, and it's always an indication that they've got, quite a good lead when you see the Commissaire's car in that gap there. So Greg Griffiths is the Chief Com. He's just having a look over the shoulder to see what the time gap is, and it's 1 minute and 17 seconds now back to the peloton. So this is all working out perfectly for Matt Wilson in yellow.
It is working out well, and there you see it, 51 minutes elapsed. So just around about 30 minutes before Matt Wilson can put on the final Jayco yellow jersey for this year's race, and he will be very relaxed. I think he'll be just counting down the minutes as we speak. These three riders, though, three really strong guys here, and you can just see they're working well together. The chasers are really going to have to get organised, and the problem with the chase group is there's too many in that chase group. I think we may see an attack from a group of 4 or 5 trying to go across.
The other problem from the chase group, or the advantage to our three leaders, is there's 2 riders from Astana that are in that chasing group, and there's also 2 riders from the Bizzle powered by SRAM team. So they're not going to be contributing to the pacemaking at all, as we're on lap 14, the next intermediate sprint at lap 20, and that's just going to be playing on the back of the minds of the likes of Stuart O'Grady and Sean Higginson as they're doing the pacemaking at the front, that they're carrying some passengers that are very strong passengers.
Absolutely, and O'Grady, no matter what he's been through this year, he will still be a really marked rider. So just like you said, the SRAM boys, the Astana boys, they will be watching O'Grady like a hawk, because he has already proved that his form is coming back very, very quickly. He is motivated, of course he is. He's in that chase group. He would like to get across, but he's going to have to play some cat and mouse games, pull that crystal ball back out of his pocket again, and draw up a plan.
No surprise that Dominic Rowland, who now has got the Portfolio Partners Sprinters classification, he's retreated because he picked up the bonus points in the first sprint. He got 4 of them to go to 34 points. Matt Wilson now in second place on 30 points in that classification, and Aaron Kemps, he moves up to third in 16 points. Bernie Solzberger, riding for the DFL Cycling News team, he's already secured the Savings and Loans King of the Mountain title. He did that when he outdueled Morabito over the final climb a couple of days ago. Simon Clark, riding for SouthAustralia.com, he's got the best young rider classification. That one's sponsored by Provincial Victoria. He's got a massive lead in that, and he is not in any danger. And Astana, they lead the team's classification by 5 minutes. So Aaron Kemps, you would expect, will be on the podium. Couldn't imagine them losing that 5-minute lead in this final stage. The Astana team leading from Unibet.com, and then Bicycle Superstore Canada in third place in the Go For Your Life teams classification.
Not the bravest prediction you've ever made, David Cole, but they most certainly will wrap up the Go For Your Life teams classification. Aaron Kemps, though, is looking to just top off the Astana Jayco Herald Sun Tour. He won the Classic in Bendigo. He won on the stage in Beechworth. We saw Morabito win to Falls Creek. Morabito won yesterday. They're going to take out the teams classification. They've proven why they're one of the best teams in the world. We all know what happened to them at the Tour de France with Alexander Vinokurov, and the team got kicked out. They then missed a lot of racing throughout August and September, but they've had significant changes at management level within the team, and it's good to see Aaron Kemps getting the opportunity to show some form at the end of the season.
And that's right, they've come here motivated. They haven't raced for a few months, and they've come here pretty fresh in the mind, fresh in the legs. And it's good to see the Europeans, wanting to race. But Morabito, such a relaxed character. We saw him in the time trial yesterday when he was crossing the line, coming up to the finish line. It looked like he was looking up at the screen at his time with a smile on his face, and then he wins the time trial.
You could have almost asked him to collect the milk on the way. He looked that relaxed.
Well, he said on the way to Falls Creek, Ian Cohen asked him when he thought he had the race won in the climb, and he said with a K to go, and there was a group with him. He's a confident young man. Talking of Ian Cohen, he is busy. He's in the pits, and he's with the team manager of the Jayco Australia outfit, Dave Sanders.
Thanks very much, boys. Dave is standing by watching them go over the start-finish line. And Dave, your man Trent Lowe currently third.
Yes, sits in third place today after his great time trial ride yesterday. He stepped up from fourth overall to third. We're really excited with his ride. It was fantastic, second in the stage, and puts him up on the podium.
Just tell us a little bit about Trent. Many see him as the future of Australian cycling.
Yes, he's one of our future stars. Falls into the pretty rare category of the climber time trialer, which is the tour rider. Fantastic young guy as a person. He's been pro for 2 years, which people don't sort of realise, being with the top pro teams, and he's now with the Slipstream team based out of America, but he's certainly a name to come.
One of the riders you had a lot to do with as a young man. He's now almost a veteran, 30-year-old Matt Wilson. He's holding it together at the moment for the Unibet.com team and the Yellow. One part of you must be excited about that.
Oh, absolutely, no question. He's come through our ranks. I've had a lot to do with him since he was a young guy. He's had health problems with cancer. Missed a couple of years with that. Came back, just wanted to be a pro. He's really committed his life as a team rider, particularly for other fellow Aussie Baden Cook. But he has been Australian champion, Australian road champion, and he stepped up here and looks like winning the Herald Sun Tour. And we're so thrilled for him.
We saw Simon Gerrans win in a close one last year. How important it is for the Australians to be right up there at the pointy end of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour?
They need to be very attentive today because these few seconds are vital. It certainly is possible to overturn the race leadership today with the sprint bonuses, which is exactly what happened last year, where Simon Gerrans came from behind and won the tour with sprint bonuses.
Dave Sanders, boys, he's guided the fortunes of so many Australian riders.
Thanks, Ian. And talking of Trent Lowe, he's been on that Discovery Channel team. He rides for Slipstream next year, and his team director, the director sportif, will be Matt White, who's the husband of Jane Saville, our best walker, a character. And Matty White's making his debut as the director sportif. Not sure if Trent knows what he's in for there. He's going to be an entertaining man to have around, and Matty hanging up the boots and the saddle and moving on to the other side of the fence.
It's a little bit of a problem for Stuart O'Grady. In fact, his chain has broken. That's Stuart O'Grady at the back of the group there. His chain has broken. He'll be able to get a lap out. He's obviously kicking the derailleur as well. I think he's actually going to need a new bike. He's not going to be able to get the chain changed in time. For that is disaster for O'Grady. Hopefully he can get on a bike that fits him.
Well, no chain. No go. He's just pedalling furiously, and he's in quicksand at the moment, Stuart O'Grady. As the Shram boys, the neutral spares just amble up. He does get a lap out, but as you said, he may well need a new machine, Stuart O'Grady. Well, we're not too far away from the second intermediate sprint here on the final stage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Stay with us.
Updating news on 10 Australian officials respond to claims of match fixing on the World Tennis Tour. Candles for the murdered Sydney boy dubbed the Lake Angel. His mother refused bail in court. An accused union thug quits the Labor Party on the eve of Kevin Rudd's election debate with John Howard. And taking the plunge, hundreds of base jumpers on show in the US.
Why has Dr. House's new patient got him so spooked?
He says his name is Walter. Actually, looks like you.
A haunted house. 8:30 Wednesday. Then at 9:30, after 12 years in prison, Detective Cruz knows exactly how the criminal mind works. But can he get into the head of the one who framed him? Stream direct from the US. Live, 9:30 Wednesday, only on 10.
Spot the difference in these two cars. Both feature V6 3-litre engines, are aerodynamically designed with auto transmission. Give up? The car on the right costs twice as much to run as the one on the left. An LP gas conversion saves 50 to 60% on fuel costs. Our state-of-the-art Sprint gas components give you great performance and less pollution. Call 1300 Easy Gas. From $400 with the government subsidy. We make gas as easy as you do.
Hit the road in a Jayco camper trailer. Hit the road in a pop-up old caravan. Australia, you're in Jayco country. From the great outback among the highway, from the snowy to the great ocean road. Hit the road. We're living in the Yarra Valley. Jayco's so easily told. Hit the road today with Jayco comfort. Hit the road with Jayco quality. Australia, you're in Jayco country.
Shoes, shoes, shoes. Men's shoes, ladies' shoes, kids' shoes at Shoes Direct. A great selection of top brands at heavily discounted prices. Don't miss out on kids' footwear. Perfect for school from $10. Men's range, great for that special occasion from $20. Be spoiled for choice across our women's shoe range. Also starting at $20 per pair. For quality family and fashion footwear, look no further than Shoes Direct. 2 huge stores with fantastic prices daily. Sydney Road, Brunswick and Main Street, Croydon.
It's Jetstar's 1 million seat sale, with 1 million seats on Jetstar's domestic and international network, like Melbourne Avalon to Adelaide for $39. For details and to book your 1 million seat sale fare, visit jetstar.com now.
Brunswick Street Cycles have put the fun back into bikes. And with stores in Greensborough, Fitzroy and the CBD, we've got you covered. With up to 15% off last year's stock and our take-home lay-bys, you can get cycling straight away. Brunswick Street Cycles.
Welcome back to the final stage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour, and we're riding around the front yard of Government House. David de Kretser, the Victorian Governor, formerly occupied by John Landy, the great Australian Olympic athlete. Magnificent scenery, botanical gardens. Adjacent to that, we've got the 3 riders still away. Scott Swazansky from the USA riding for Bizzle, powered by SRAM. Camille Denise riding for the Netherlands. And Aaron Kemps, the youngster from Bundaberg. This is what happened with Stuart O'Grady. Lost the chain.
Well, we see Stuart O'Grady's chain broken here, and we've got the spare bike coming over, which is supplied by SRAM. But if you look at the pedals on Stuart O'Grady, he's got the speed plate pedals, and the spare bike has got look pedals. So his shoes and those pedals are not compatible. He's got to get back to the pits, and he's got to take the pedals off the spare bike and put his own pedals on them if he's to stand any chance of getting back in this bike race. But he's only got 1 lap to do it.
That's right, he's only got about 3 minutes to do it, so he's going to have his work cut out. I hope for his sake that he's wired up to his team director or team mechanic so he can inform them what's happened. They can get organised, they can meet him right at the start finish, change the pedals and get him back on the bike.
Just hearing news from the course that hasn't been able to happen, and Stuart O'Grady is out. So Stuart O'Grady's tour comes to an end. And that, of course, means that he doesn't end up on the general classification. I'm not sure he'd be that upset about that because he has worked for Trent Lowe throughout the tour, but in his return race, a freak accident as he came up the little rise. The power of Stuart O'Grady's been too much for the chain, and his race has come to an end.
He may not be upset about it, but I am. I wanted to see Stuart O'Grady, possibly the best all-round cyclist in the world, get himself in contention to take out the final stage. I would have thought that would have been a treat to be able to see, but unfortunately for us, O'Grady is out of the bike race.
Well, you know he's having a dip. When he puts himself in the breakaway, you know he's going to do something, and I think it was just a matter of time before they got down towards the last few laps. O'Grady may have launched an attack, but surprisingly, he looked pretty relaxed. he just wasn't concerned as we went to the break, and I think there could have been a chance to get him on a spare bike, but he probably didn't like the idea of getting on a spare bike because it does feel a lot of different measurements, so he just called it a day.
And clearly didn't want to take the risk. As you say, the different measurements of the bike is going to handle just slightly differently, and having the bike handle well on this sort of circuit race, particularly with those U-turns, as we look at Cone de Court at the back of the group, who's not going to contribute to the pace making at all because his teammate in Kemps is in that break. So 43 seconds now, the gap between the three leaders in this chasing group. So for O'Grady, he probably made that assessment as well. He didn't want to take any unnecessary risks with those injuries that he has sustained at the Tour de France, and just looking forward to 2008.
Yes, and you could just see there a quick attack went up the road. See the rider there in the green jersey, the Wiesenhof jersey? That is Stefan Radocla, very good sprinter. And at the back there, Richard England, the 06 National Criterium champion of Australia. He's an Australian racing on an American team. He's had a very good year, Richard England. And he's just foxing at the back. He's hoping that these other guys in front of him will put the chase in. And you can see the sprinters want to hover down the back. They don't want to do all of the work. They want to rely on the stronger riders to drag this break back. But they've got over 40 seconds now, so they are committed at the front.
Aaron, 4 minutes into the race. A reminder, 80 minutes, and then they get 3 laps remaining. So we're certainly approaching the business end, and we're not too far away from the second of the intermediate sprints. The first one taken out by Aaron Kemps, just ahead of Dominic Roland. And Camille Denise was third across the line, and he was in that group that got away. We saw Roland retreat, and Scott Wazanski came up, and that's been the breakaway that have been in operation for the last 7 laps.
And for Richard England, who you were talking about before, the fact that he's got his teammate in Swazanski in this breakaway group, as we see, it looks like Sean Higginson and Gene Bates that are going on the attack, 2 teammates from the SouthAustralia.com team. So for Richard England, he just sits at the back and watches everybody else do the chasing. And little Gene Bates, he's wearing the Volvo jersey, is the most aggressive from a couple of days ago. That was on the stage to Wangaratta. He was a late starter for this race. He just replaced Nick Sanderson, who pulled out at the last minute. He's been having a pretty good tour.
Well, that's it. You just can't sit back and wait. And I think England and possibly Radocla may have made a mistake here because they are both fairly strong bike riders. They're capable of crossing gaps to breakaway groups. And Bates there, you mentioned the most aggressive rider a couple of days ago. He's on the attack again, and he's taken his teammate with him, so they have nothing to lose. There's no foxing. They're just going to work flat out now and try and get across to this break.
Gene Bates was a late starter, replacing Nick Sanderson. Well, Sean Higginson, he was a late starter as well. He replaced Zach Dempster. So the 2 men that are late into the team for SouthAustralia.com are flying the flag very proudly.
Well, sometimes you have to make hay while the sun is shining, and they're doing that today. As we watch the live coverage around Australia, they're going to make themselves famous if they can get into this group. And then, of course, sprint for the stage victory here. And Matt Wilson and his Unibet team, the tour leader, he had a 3-second margin coming into the tour ahead of Steve Morabito, the Astana rider. They were 14 seconds ahead of Trent Lowe. And at the moment, Wilson, well, if it was the Commonwealth Games or Olympic Games, you could start rehearsing the national anthem, I think, because he's in a very, very strong position at the moment with no real movement from the peloton. They're a minute and a bit back from this group of 3 riders. We've got a group of 10 or so that are chasing them down, and 2 in between with Sean Higginson and Gene Bates.
You see Aaron Kemps is just taking on a fair bit of water. This is Brett Aiken who's launching the attack to try and get across on his own. Brett Aiken, Olympic Games gold medalist from 2000. He's won stages of this race in the past. Savings and Loans have had a brilliant tour. He's trying to get across to the 2 from SouthAustralia.com, and he's from South Australia himself.
So we're not too far away from the second intermediate sprint, the final stage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Matthew Wilson, it's going to be a fairy tale story for him. Stay with us.
What do you live in? A big raccoon.
6:30 tonight. Which thank God you're here favourite will be put on the spot?
Flactil. No more gas. It's a flact.
Thank God you're here. 6:30 tonight. Brunswick Street Cycles have put the fun back into bikes. We have a huge range of bikes and accessories to suit anyone. And with stores in Greensborough, Fitzroy and the CBD, we've got you covered. Whatever type of bike you want, we've got. And right now, we have up to 15% off last year's stock. Our staff know their stuff. You can test ride your bike and take it home straight away. With up to 15% off last year's stock and our take-home lay-bys, you can get cycling straight away. Brunswick Street Cycles at Greensborough, Fitzroy and Elizabeth Street CBD.
500 shutters in 5 days at up to 50% off, only from Modern.
Have we got to pack these 500 shutters?
Nah, at 20 to 50% off, they'll fly out the door, just like us.
Fly into Modern now for the Modern 500 shutter 5-day sale. 500 shutters must go in 5 days, and they're all priced to clear at up to 50% off. Transform your windows from this to this, and the more you buy, the more you save.
Did he say save?
Shut her up in your face. Read my beak. Modern it.
Call 1311 78 now.
It's war on dirt when New Zealand take on Australia in the Oceania Championships at Barrabool Geelong. Kiwi champ Josh Cobbin, fresh from the Motocross GP, battles our Aussie champ with American legend Ryan Hughes thrown into the mix. October 27 and 28. Tickets at the gate.
EA Sports. It's in the game. Spot the difference in these two cars. Both feature V6 3-litre engines, are aerodynamically designed with auto transmission. Give up? The car on the right costs twice as much to run as the one on the left. An LP gas conversion saves 50 to 60% on fuel costs. Our state-of-the-art Sprint gas components give you great performance and less pollution. Call 1300 Easy Gas. From $400 with the government subsidy. We make gas as easy as you do.
Brunswick Street Cycles have put the fun back into bikes. And with stores in Greensborough, Fitzroy and the CBD, we've got you covered. With up to 15% off last year's stock and our take-home lay-bys, you can get cycling straight away. Brunswick Street Cycles.
The tables will turn.
The judges will pick the songs.
They will take the heat.
Outrageous, outrageous.
When the judges are the ones under pressure, anything could happen.
Shut up, clown.
Idol, 7:30 tonight.
Welcome back. It's a bit parched, the Botanical Gardens, and so are the riders because the road is starting to heat up. We're an hour and 10 minutes into the final stage. We're on the sprint lap. So the second intermediate sprint about to occur. Scott Wazanski from the USA riding for Bizzle, powered by SRAM, is just in front of Aaron Kemps, who won the first sprint, and behind him is Camille Denise from the Netherlands.
Well, you'd expect if they do contest the sprint that Aaron Kemps will take it out after having won that first sprint. But given that it's the breakaway group of three, we've now got two riders in Higginson and Bates trying to get across to them. And just before we went to the break, we saw Brett Aiken also trying to get across. They may not sprint at all. They may just try and keep their rhythm going.
Correct, but I think we saw Kemps take the first sprint. He's obviously motivated. I thought it was a bit of a bad move in the first sprint. I mean, he didn't know how the race was going to unfold. He should have sat back and waited, but I mean, it just shows how good this guy is. He can sprint, he can go in a breakaway, he can just about do anything. Next we'll know he'll be climbing.
Was he sprinting at all though in that first sprint? Was it just Aaron Kemps trying to launch an attack? Because we saw those groups come together and we had about 20 or so at the front. Everybody was a little bit full of lactic acid and fatigued from the hard chasing that had happening, so he thought he'd strike while the iron was hot, and he's achieved what probably he set out to achieve. He's got a strong group of three away and they've got a fair sort of a lead up their sleeve.
Well, they've all got the team radios, the wire in the ear, back to the team cars, so he'd be following the instructions. Yesterday on the podium, Matthew, you asked him whether he'd be helping out Matthew Wilson because he had mixed emotions, and there's a saying in cycling, you've got to go where the money is, brother, and that's where he went. He said, I'm going to do the job for my team. I'm going to ride for the people who pay me, and he's doing it now and he's doing it well, and it looks like he is going to take out this second intermediate sprint. It's a bit of a doddle, really. It's not much of a sprint as they stroll across the line. In fact, there's Denis on the front.
Just as we expected, they haven't really contested the sprint at all. As they go across the line, it's Wazanski, the American, that takes it out from the Biesel team powered by SRAM. Aaron Kemps was in second place. He's adding to that money there. He's just continuing to build the kit because the team, they pool all the prize money and they share it amongst themselves, and at the end of the season they dish out a little bit to the mechanics and the masseurs as well. And going across the line in third place, we saw Camille Dennis from the Netherlands in that. The final intermediate sprint of this year's Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
So it's all wrapped up there. Pretty amazing stuff, really. There you go, as they cross the line there, not trying at all. These three now, their attention will turn to the next 10 minutes because they're going to toss it out. The other two riders, not Kemp's, the Dutchman and the Canadian, they're going to think about trying to how they can outfox Kemp's. They know he is fast. That one of them, I think they will try and attack against them, and suddenly they will become teammates on the road. As you can see, Wilson back in about 10th wheel, very happy, very content now, and again he will be just counting down the minutes to the finish.
Just a bit over 6 minutes remaining until they get 3 laps to go, and it's out over 2 minutes at the moment. We saw at the front of that group the Bizzle rider, but the Unibet riders right behind him. Jayco Australia teammate there, then the Astana guys who have done not much at all. Morabito, obviously he had decided, Matthew, at the start of this stage that 3 seconds was too much to haul in when you're up against the likes of Jimmy Casper, who has won a stage of the Tour de France. In fact, twice he's won the Lanton Rouge, which is the last man in to Paris. He's survived the mountains and he's got into Paris, and they reward you with being the last man to finish.
He is a hero in France, just courtesy of that. And he's also well known probably to a lot of the Australian public as a result of being part of that feature film, the IMAX film of Wired to Win. That's him just sitting in 4th wheel, the short, stocky guy in the green and white colours of the Unibet team. He's wearing number 115. He's got Baden Cook up towards the front as well, doing some of the pacemaking. Jeremy Hunt, it is the rider who is on the front, and Nick Gates from the Jayco Australian national team sitting in 2nd wheel.
It's an amazing story, that Wired to Win, because he had a massive crash and he kept on riding with a net brace on in the Tour de France, and the producers of that movie went there not necessarily to focus on Jimmy Casper, but all of a sudden this massive story and a tale of great courage unfolded in front of them, and he just refused to give in.
Well, they actually went there focusing on Tyler Hamilton, the American who was riding for Team CSC, but unfortunately Tyler Hamilton a couple of months later tested positive to blood doping at the Tour of Spain, so IMAX decided that they'll throw those tapes out, but because of the story of Jimmy Casper, they got plenty of footage of him as well, and he and Baden Cook became the stars, as we see one of their teammates in Jeremy Hunt just make his way around the corner. Haven't they ridden a perfect race today, Unibet? They've put Golas, the Polish rider on that team, into the chasing group, and now they're just controlling affairs at the back here with Jeremy Hunt, Baden Cook and Jimmy Casper. Morabito, he simply can't move. He can't fire a shot today.
Absolutely, I mean, but not just today. They've ridden a magnificent tour. They started with just 5 riders, 2 riders short compared to every other team. One rider was sick at the last minute. Another rider, I think, was just too tired to come. So they started with 5 guys, but they all were motivated. And, I mean, we've mentioned it time and time again, but Wilson has had 3 of the biggest allies in him, in Cook, Casper and Hunt, and even Golas again in the break today, so he's done his bit as well.
Well, they were so motivated, the Unibet team, because they've had a troubled year. They weren't able to ride the Tour de France. They're sponsored by a Swiss betting outfit, and the owners of the Tour de France didn't want them to be involved because of the sponsorship of the Tour de France. They weren't able to ride a lot of the major Pro Tour events. They've had massive internal runctions throughout the year. In fact, one of their riders, Steve Vandenberg, was not able to come. The team manager wouldn't let him out here. And the likes of Baden Cook and Matt Wilson, Jeremy Hunt, the 2 of those were the first riders to get here, and they were just champing at the bit to ride. And take yourself back to that stage between Bendigo and Nagambie where Matt Wilson decided to go with 5 kilometres remaining and turn it into a bit of an individual pursuit, and he got the time and he's held it since. Prophetic when you go back and have a look at how one move in a race can make such a massive difference.
It was really significant, wasn't it? As we look at Sean Higginson from the SouthAustralia.com team, Arashiro, the Japanese national champion, has managed to get across to them. So this chasing group is starting to build a little bit of horsepower. The Unibet riders that you spoke about before, David, they really have been the victim of politics this season. In fact, there's only just 2 here. I'm not sure what's happened with Gene Bates, but we've just got Arashiro and Higginson doing the chasing. But that first stage in Nagambie, we saw Matthew Wilson come across the line, and it's the first race he's won for a long time. In fact, it's the first race he'd won since his Australian title. You would have expected him to throw the both arms up in the air and really celebrate and enjoy it, but he rode all the way to the line to get as many seconds as he possibly could, and it was just one fist punch after he went across the line, and with 3 seconds the gap between he and Morabito, it was significant.
Absolutely, and the couple of things that got me about Wilson as well, I know him quite well. The following day, they had a lot of crosswind coming into Mansfield. Cook and Wilson put the race into the gutter, so to speak. They rode down the right-hand side of the road. They didn't give any other riders a sit, and they took another 26 seconds out of their main contenders. And Wilson said, if I can have a minute, I think I can win the Tour. And I really thought he needed more than a minute.
And what also happened there was Trent Lowe, he lost time as well. He missed that split. He's a small climber, the former mountain biker. As we see Gene Bates, who's the most aggressive, obviously had a little bit of a problem, and they're trying to get themselves back together. Trent Lowe lost around about 20 or 23 seconds on that day, and he's at 14 seconds behind in the general classification. So Matt Wilson and the Unibet team, they've really taken their opportunities when they presented themselves.
It's been brilliant riding. It's one of the facets of cycling that's, for the lay person, you think it's an individual sport, but they come in as teams, they celebrate as teams. There might be one person crosses the line first. Who will it be in the final stage of this year's tour? We'll find out shortly. Stay with us.
Promo.
The Simpsons, 7:30 Tuesday.
Hit the road in a Jayco camper trailer. Hit the road in a pop-up caravan. Australia, you're in Jayco country. From the great outback among the highways, from the snowy to the great ocean road. Hit the road, blooming in the Yarra Valley. Jayco so easily told. Hit the road today with Jayco comfort. Hit the road with Jayco quality. Australia, you're in Jayco country.
Why would you buy a no-name brand sewing machine when, for the same price, you can have genuine Janome quality?
Like this Janome 2008 for just $199.
We've got embroidery machines, overlockers, quilting machines, all at heavily reduced prices.
And our customers just love their free lesson.
Not only do we give you the best price, but we spend time with you to make sure you get the best advice.
Call 1300 Janome or visit your nearest Janome specialist today.
Holden is celebrating this month with free registration and CTP insurance across the entire multi-award-winning VE Commodore range. And if you get the SV6 for $39,990 plus dealer delivery and government charges, you'll also get free automatic transmission. Same with the SS. Get it for $44,990 plus dealer delivery and government charges, and you'll get free auto. Now that's a super car, and that's a super deal. It's for this month only, so go to your Holden dealer now.
Here at the National Hair Institute, we've led the way in hair transplant treatment for more than 10 years and helped thousands of people treat hair loss. I'm not just the medical director here, I've also had a hair transplant myself. And I've co-written this comprehensive book titled How You Can Beat Hair Loss.
For a free copy of How You Can Beat Hair Loss, SMS your full name to 0429 Dr. Hair or visit our website at www.drhair.com.au.
Contact the National Hair Institute now.
The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, out now. Only on Nintendo DS.
Need to move on? Try Mini Movers for a stress-free local move. 1300 366 000 or book at Mini Move.
To try and stay away and fight out the finish. Scott Fazansky is the rider in the black. He's in the middle.
Japanese national champion in Arashir. We see Swizansky and Camille Dennis, neither of them are real noted sprinters. They're going to have to try and get rid of Aaron Kemps if they're to stand any chance of winning today's stage.
Swizansky, you're going to have to do better than that, my boy. He needs to catch them by surprise. You cannot, when you attack, you need to give 110%. And the attacks, when they come now, you attack for the win. You're not attacking to get away, you're attacking for the victory. And you can see there, they were directly on his wheel. It surprised me. I mean, this guy has raced on the US Pro Circuit for a number of years. He's the oldest out of the three, so he's 30 years of age. He's pretty experienced, but he's got two very good bike riders to beat, so he's going to have to do something better than that.
He's got 2 laps to go, so 5 kilometres remaining, and Matt Wilson is back in the peloton. They're about 2 minutes behind, and he is going to win the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour and produce the best win of his career. That much is certain. Denise just gets rid of some ballast. It's very hot out there and the boys are starting to suffer, and Aaron Kemps, he's just going to sit there for the time being because he knows that he's got the power in his legs to get across the top of them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He does know that, but he knows that these three are chasing. We've got Gene Bates at the front here in the Volvo Most Aggressive jersey from the stage a couple of days ago. Arashio, the Japanese national champion, in the middle, and then Sean Higginson at the back. The only chance these three have really got is if they start to play cat and mouse at the front, and it's happened before, but for the other two in that leading group, Camille Dennis and Swizanski, they really need to try and get away from Aaron Kemps. And David McKenzie spoke about the attack of Swizanski before. He almost just provided Kemps with a letter of advice telling him that he was about to go on the attack and now would be the opportune time to try and respond. He really needs to maybe miss a couple of turns, sit off the back a little bit and take a run up at him, so as he really has to force Kemps to respond. Kempsale even got out of the saddle to get back onto the wheel of it.
Well, that just tells me that Zwizanski hasn't got much left in the tank. I think the real danger is Camille Denise. He looks quite composed, relaxed. Again, he's raced the Jayco Bay Classic out in Australia. He knows the style of racing here. I mentioned before the Dutch have a lot of criterium circuit races in Holland. A lot of them are raced over pave or bricks, if you like. So he will know how to handle his bike around a course like this. And again, though, the attack is going to have to come from behind. You cannot attack off the front. You've got to catch them by surprise. No bells and whistles, just discreetly, quietly, and when you go, you go.
Well, we spoke about the alliance earlier on, and they had formed that alliance, and it's worked pretty well. They've managed to build up a handy lead. They've been... well, this is a big attack from the main peloton. Just as we're saying, another one of the Dutchmen has gone on the attack. That is Van Leyen, the man who was in yellow a couple of days ago. He's launched an attack. He was on the back of the peloton for the majority of the start of the race, and he hasn't gone anywhere either.
And one of the first men to respond was Matthew Wilson. As you would expect, he's in third wheel as they go around the corner, so they have 2 laps to go. The leaders are a long way away. They're almost at the end of St Kilda Road at the Shrine to turn around, so they're probably 2k behind at the moment, almost a full lap, and now the pace has gone right off that as the leaders come back towards Linlithgow Avenue and the start-finish line where they'll get 1 lap to go.
Well, hats off to Matthew Wilson. He has not missed a beat today. He's just slipping in behind the wheel of the big tall Dutchman in Van Leyen. He's keeping himself near the men that are close to him in the overall classification. Morabito, it's been a case of me and my shadow with him all day today, and hats off to his teammates as well, as we see another attack coming out of the main peloton. And it looks like, in fact, it's at the leading group of 3. This is Swizanski once again who's trying to attack.
He's attacking in too high a gear, I think. He's got high cadence. He got a couple of lengths in on Aaron Kemps, but again, I think it's a case of he hasn't got much left in the tank, and now they're going to know he's done 2 attacks. They're going to watch him like a hawk. It's Camille Denise is the rider who possibly could, stop Kemp's celebrations today. And here he goes on the attack. But again, look, Kemps is the man to beat. He's straight on the wheel, so here they coming through the finish line now.
They get the final lap, so 1 lap remaining. They get the bell. The final stage of this year's tour is down to 3. It's the Dutchman Camille Denise in front, followed by Aaron Kemps, who's going to need a massage at the end of the day because he has been giving the neck a real workout, looking left and right. He's controlled the front so far, and Swizanski, the American, is hot on his heels.
This is where they want to be a little bit careful, these 3. They don't want to cat and mouse too much, otherwise they might see the 3 other riders of Bates, Higginson and Arashiro come up from behind. You can see the pace is backed right off.
Well, that rider there that has just been lapped is the Luxembourg national champion in Benoit Joachim. He's the teammate of Aaron Kemps. I'm sure he just would have tilted his neck to the left and had a little bit of a word of encouragement for Kemps.
Just look back up the road and there was no sign of the chase. Here they come, Arashiro, Higginson and Bates, the 2 teammates on SouthAustralia.com. They can do a little job here on the Japanese rider if they can work together, but the leaders are a long way away, and it looks like Denise is up the road. The Dutchman is the first to attack.
What is Swizanski doing? He knows that Aaron Kemps is the sprinter. He should be sitting on the rear wheel of Aaron Kemps. This is playing right into Kemps's hands. Extraordinary.
Not smart at all. That has totally blown me away. That is rule number 1. You make the fastest man do all of the chasing. Kemps there, he's rubbing his hands together. I'll tell you what, he'll be counting up the dollars already. It's crazy stuff, really.
He's got his lottery ticket early today, Aaron Kemps, because he would have known that as the fastest man in this group, he's already won a stage into Beechworth. He won the Classic in Bendigo. Swizanski is trying to attack from the front with Kemps right on his wheel. He's just spending energy that he can't afford to spend when it comes up to the sprint. Aaron Kemps, he's enjoying his ride down St Kilda Road.
Well, he's just riding a bit of tempo. Aaron Kemps out in front because He probably wouldn't prefer to be in the lead, but even if he has to launch the attack from there, he has got the power in his legs to burn them off.
He'll be a confident man now. They've attacked him 2 or 3 times each. He knows how much they've got left in the tank. You know, they've laid all their cards on the table at this stage. Kemps hasn't even had to really put the gas on, so you're dead right, David. He might be happy just to lead out. He doesn't want to probably be there, but he'll do it if he has to.
The Dutchman, Camille Dennis, at the back of the group here. He's in a position where he can catch him by surprise. As we see the main peloton with the yellow jersey of Matthew Wilson get the bell lap. He's just got to stick with Morabito, and he's going to secure himself the greatest win in his career. As I was about to say before, for Camille Dennis, I think for him, he just needs to wait back there until we just get to the slight uphill rise at about 500 metres to go, lay off and try and gap Aaron Kemps.
He does. See how Kemps, though, riding smart. Right-hand side of the road, hard up against the barriers. All he has to do is look over his left shoulder. He doesn't want to be in the middle of the road. Then he has to look left and right, and that's where he can be caught by surprise. So he sticks hard up on the right-hand side. It's almost like a velodrome race. But Camille Dennis, he's there with hesitation. Look, he really wants to go, and he's just waiting for the perfect moment.
Well, Camille Dennis, he's just getting backed out a little bit by Swizanski. Aaron Kemps is at the front, making sure they're going on one side. And here goes Swizanski. Let's see who does the reaction. Camille Dennis is straight onto the wheel. That's a surprise for mine. I would have expected him to allow Aaron Kemps to try and pick up the chasing.
I would have thought Camille Dennis would have been a little bit smarter than that. They're both desperate to win, and it's crazy. He should have let Kemps do the pacemaking there, should have made him chase. Then he might have had a possibility to win. But now it's all coming down to the downhill sprint. Kemps is in the box seat.
Inside the final 400 metres now as they take the last little hairpin corner. And Aaron Kemps, it's like a pursuit. It's like a sprint on the track. They're just jockeying for position. Kemps is in front, then Denise. Swizanski's the first to go. Now Kemps is off the shoulder. He rides Swizanski to the barriers. The boy from Bundaberg's in front. Can he hang on as they dash for the line inside the final 100 metres? Of course he can. And Bundaberg's Aaron Kemps takes the final stage. He did it comfortably. It was a certainty, and he won like a red-hot favourite.
Well, he deserved to win too because he did everything right, and the other two, they made a lot of mistakes on that final lap. This is the yellow jersey making his way in. You can see him sitting down there in around about 6th or 7th wheel. Nick Gates it is from the Jayco Australian national team at the front of the group there, just leading them around the corner. A teammate of Robbie McEwen and Cadell Evans, as Matt Wilson has got Baden Cook for company. They'll be enjoying this.
He's following Morabito. Let's just remind ourselves it is only 3 seconds. If Morabito does get a gap in the last 400 metres, and it is more than 3 seconds, he can still win the tour. So Wilson has to just follow Morabito right to the very, very end.
Well, we haven't seen Matt Wilson make a mistake over the past 7 days. He's unlikely to now. Let's just see where the yellow jersey is. Nick Gates is waving them through. Chris Yonglewood is at the front of the peloton. The yellow jersey's got Baden Cook sitting on his wheel to protect him, to make sure he doesn't get in any trouble. And Wilson is on the wheel of Morabito, who is launching his attack. He might have met his run a little bit too late. Morabito started the day 3 seconds behind the yellow jersey of Matthew Wilson. The man who a couple of years ago was suffering from Hodgkin's disease is comfortable sitting behind the rider from Switzerland and the Astana team. Astana have taken out the stage courtesy of Aaron Kemps, but Matthew Wilson from the Unibet team, Jimmy Casper is coming over the top. Simon Clark it is in the white jersey. Here comes Matthew Wilson on the wheel of Jimmy Casper, is going to win the Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
And Wilson it is. He's worked for others his entire life, and today he wins the biggest race of his life. Matthew Wilson is the winner of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour, and what a deserving victory it is.
Well, the first rider to congratulate him there was Steve Morabito, very sportsmanlike. He had an attack in the last 400 metres, so he did have a plan, but still very deserving winner in Wilson. And Morabito, such class, you know. He crosses the line, and the first thing he does is shake Wilson's hand.
Well, there he is, Baden Cook in the background, punching the air. He won this race in 2002. They've been together since they were juniors. Morabito has been one of the great revelations of this tour for us. It's been a pleasure to watch him race, and he's been a real sportsman as well, shaking the hand there of Matthew Wilson.
Well, what a ride it was from Aaron Kemps. It was obvious he was going to win from a long way out. Matthew Wilson has won the tour. Let's go down to Ian Cohen, who has the winner of the stage, Aaron Kemps.
Thanks very much, boys. Indeed, I do. Aaron Kemps is with me, and Aaron has done a marvellous effort. He's ridden all the way, basically throughout the tour. He's taken out the Classic in Bendigo. You also took out the stage into Beechworth. Aaron, did you set yourself for today's big stage?
Yeah, I always wanted to win today's stage. I knew my girlfriend and my family were coming down here to watch this weekend, and I knew it was pretty hard to win the time trial yesterday. So I just took it easy and rode within myself and set myself for today, and then the nice course of split today, and I was really motivated to win. It wasn't my easiest win today, but no, it was really good to get the win.
Astana's had a troubled season 2007. Great way for you to cap it off, though.
Yeah, no, we've had a bit of a unlucky season this last half of the year, and to come out here to the Jayco Herald Sun Tour and now to win 5 stages out of the 8, we're wrapped.
And for you personally, what does it mean going into next year?
Yeah, well, obviously now I've got a lot of motivation, and I've shown a lot of people in Australia what I can do now, and hopefully I can take this success into Europe next season and get a few more wins to my name.
Aaron, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Aaron Kemp's the man that has taken out 3 stages here. He took out the Classic, he also took out the run into Beechworth, and of course today's big stage here in Melbourne. Up after the break though, stick with us. We have the tour winner of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. What a story it is. Matty Wilson will be talking to us after the break.
It's your Friday night friends. They're back with a brand new show.
From the net to 10, we'll bring you the funniest,
The naughtiest.
and probably the most disturbing clips you've ever seen. Let's go.
Friday night download. Start 7:30 Friday on 10.
Brunswick Street Cycles have put the fun back into bikes. We have a huge range of bikes and accessories to suit anyone. And with stores in Greensborough, Fitzroy and the CBD, we've got you covered. Whatever type of bike you want, we've got. And right now, we have up to 15% off last year's stock. Our staff know their stuff. You can test ride your bike and take it home straight away. With up to 15% off last year's stock and our take-home lay-bys, you can get cycling straight away. Brunswick Street Cycles at Greensborough, Fitzroy and Elizabeth Street CBD.
It's Jetstar's 1 million seat sale, with 1 million seats on Jetstar's domestic and international network, like Melbourne Avalon to Adelaide for $39. For details and to book your 1 million seat sale fare, visit jetstar.com now.
Spot the difference in these two cars. Both feature V6 3-litre engines, are aerodynamically designed with auto transmission. Give up? The car on the right costs twice as much to run as the one on the left. An LP gas conversion saves 50 to 60% on fuel costs. Our state-of-the-art Sprint gas components give you great performance and less pollution. Call 1300 Easy Gas. From $400 with the government subsidy. We make gas as easy as you do.
Hi, I'm the Roof Seal, and boy do I have a deal for you. Our biggest knockout sale ever. Ouch.
What we're really offering is 25% off every full roof restoration. But you must ring right now.
That's what I was going to tell you. You get 25% off every full roof restoration. But you must ring right now. Ring Roof Seal now.
1300 36 7070.
Holden is celebrating this month with free registration and CTP insurance across the entire multi-award-winning VE Commodore range. And if you get the SV6 for $39,990 plus dealer delivery and government charges, you'll also get free automatic transmission. Same with the SS. Get it for $44,990 plus dealer delivery and government charges, and you'll get free auto. Now that's a super car, and that's a super deal. It's for this month only, so go to your Holden dealer now.
Brunswick Street Cycles have put the fun back into bikes. And with stores in Greensborough, Fitzroy and the CBD, we've got you covered. With up to 15% off last year's stock and our take-home lay-bys, you can get cycling straight away. Brunswick Street Cycles.
Do not try any of this at home.
Oh my God! Please don't try this at home.
See the best bits of the web. Don't be the last to hear about it. See it first. 7:30 Friday on 10.
Welcome back. As we look down on the finish line, it's going to be a spot that Matthew Wilson will remember for the rest of his life, because the 30-year-old, the veteran, has taken out this year's tour. It's the biggest win of his career. He doesn't have a contract for next year, and he's going to be emailing team directors from around the globe tonight to say, you need me on your team next year. Let's go down to him with Ian Cohen.
Yeah, certainly an impressive win and an impressive tour all around. The Jayco Herald Sun Tour always setting the benchmarks. With me is the Managing Director of Jayco, Jerry Ryan. And Jerry, what a marvellous tour again, 56th edition.
And to come down 3 seconds just fantastic. The whole week has just been on, the racing, and I've got to say I'm a little bit biased. We go back a lot of years, and to see him get across today, he's always worked for everyone else. And Matty, this is yours, mate, and you deserve it.
The trophy's pretty heavy. Jerry's having to hand it over now to Matt Wilson. What a fantastic effort. A big round of applause down here at the start-finish line. A magnificent effort. You won going into Ngambia, you sprinted away there, you then got the yellow back at Wangaratta. You've been in it for most of the week, and now you are the Jayco Herald Sun Tour winner. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. The big tests were up the mountain and the time trial, obviously, and I managed to hang on in both of those and not lose too much time. So I was pretty confident coming in today, but still the nerves were really shot. I mean, I haven't been this nervous since I was a junior this week. It gives me a lot more respect for what the leaders actually do, you know, putting themselves under pressure week after week to perform. But this is just a great payback for all those years, and I can't thank my teammates enough.
Let's talk about your teammates. You do so much work for Baden Cook. He's one of the biggest names on the tour. Today, he was working hard for you as well. He wanted to see you get across the line.
Yeah, I think he wanted to see me win more than win himself. I mean, it's the best repayment I think he could have given me, and I thank him as well for believing in me all these years and backing me up, and it's been a great partnership, I think.
You now join some illustrious names on that trophy, some big names that have raced over in Europe as well. You're without a contract next year. What will this do for your endeavours to be riding pro cycling next year?
Well, hopefully it helps a lot. I mean, the media coverage of this race is getting bigger and bigger overseas. I've had a few text messages from people over there, and it can't hurt my chances for getting a contract now. So it's just a matter of talking to a few teams in the weeks to come and finding out.
You touched on the nerves. What was it like on that final lap where you're thinking, just stay upright, that's all I got to do, stay upright? The sprints had already been won and done. They didn't matter. What was it like this race?
I was still nervous right up to the line. I mean, I was a bit worried about Morabito, and I dropped back to sit on his wheel just so I could keep an eye on him, but he was a perfect gentleman, and he didn't try any funny stuff. He had a bit of a hit out in the finish there, and that was it. And it's just a relief to get across the line.
Huge round of applause. You had family and friends here yesterday for the ride of your life, the time trial. You've got them here again today.
Yeah, I've got so many family and friends here from years gone past, and it's an amazing feeling.
So tonight, take us through us, the unibet.com boys. You're likely to get out and enjoy a couple of champagnes. Your champagne spray is one of the best, I tell you that.
Hopefully I'll get it right today. I think we'll be celebrating long into the night. You can bank on that.
Now that you've got it in your hands, did you think at the start of the tour that the trophy could be yours? You've talked about shocking yourself. You know, that's what you said yesterday. You shocked yourself in some of the sprints. You've shocked yourself with the climb up to Falls Creek and then in the time trial. Did you think in your wildest dreams at the start of the tour, you were down to 5 riders as well?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I had really good form, and I knew, given the right circumstances, that I could win. But there's so many races and so variable what can happen, and I really needed a bit of luck, and I got that luck on the first day, and lucky for me, my legs got better and better as the tour went on. I was able to defend it.
An amazing story. You recovered from Hodgkin's disease. You had a form of cancer there. You fought your way back onto the bike. How involved was Baden in also getting you back on the bike there?
It was probably the most motivating factor. I mean, we're in the national team together for years and years, and sort of battled trying to get contracts, and both of us were, fairly sure it was never going to happen, and I sort of retired, and he went on to turn pro with Mercury and get some big success, and he basically said, maybe you should get back on the bike and try again because you're still young, and I sort of really thought about it, and that was the reason I got back on the bike.
And now you're the Jayco Herald Sun Tour winner. What's it going to mean to you and your family and all those supporters? You've taken out your home event.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing about winning this event is your whole family and friends and everyone's here. And I mean, you can win some races in Europe and no one really knows about it, but here it's fantastic. The media, the coverage you get, and being able to do it in front of all your family.
Congratulations. No doubt there'd be some likely people you want to thank. I mean, like your family and those sort of things, the people that helped you off junior days. We spoke to Dave Sanders. He was rapt that you were over the line as well.
guys like Dave Sanders and Shane Bannon. Gee, the lid's just so big. My mum probably.
Where is she? Point her out over there. Come on, Mum, give us a bit of a wave over there. We can see Mum in the background. You can come in, Mum. Off you go. Now, this has got to be one of your biggest supporters. She's come in. What's your mum's name?
Leslie.
Leslie.
There's no doubt I would be here if it wasn't for my mum. She's driven me around and taken me places and done everything. And
Leslie, what are the returns like? You got tears in the eyes.
Immeasurable. Immeasurable. No one deserves it more than Maddie does.
How many early mornings and heading out to bike rides did you have to set the alarm clock for?
Been a few. All worthwhile today though, so it's been wonderful.
What's the emotion for you? How hard was it to watch 80 minutes plus 3 laps?
Very hard. I've been on the phone to my husband to find out what they're saying on the telly because I couldn't hear properly, so I've been keeping track of it both ways. Dad's just so excited for you, yeah. Sends his best. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
Maddie, it's been a terrific win for you. Congratulations. You are now the winner of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. As I said, you joined some illustrious names, and all the best with the contract going into next year. No doubt you want to get back to the team and give them your thanks, and they can offer you your congratulations as well.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Jayco as well. They've supported me forever.
Boys, a terrific champion, Matt Wilson. He's ridden hard all week for Unibet.com. He's been in yellow for most of the week, and now he takes home the most prized prize, of course, in Victorian cycling, Australian cycling. He's a winner of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
Well done, Ian, and he joined some illustrious names. Simon Gerrans won the last 2. John Trevorrow won 3. Barry Waddell won 5 Sun Tours. Here's the finish. Aaron Kemps, the boy from Bundaberg, storming home ahead of Zazansky and Denise. That was the top 3 in the stage. He's had a great tour. Aaron Kemps is Matt Wilson and Jerry Ryan. He's not to be underestimated, Jerry Ryan. He's the main sponsor of this race. He's been a massive supporter of so many of the Australian cyclists, David McKenzie, for such a long period of time. And today, what a thrill for him to hand the winner's jersey and the winning trophy to Matt Wilson.
It's an amazing result, you know. I got a bit emotional then as well. I mean, I know Matt, I've known him for years. I've raced with him and against him, and it's just such a popular victory. We saw last year a similar scenario when Simon Gerrans won. Very nice guy as well, but Matt Wilson, you know, we've talked about him there. He's had Hodgkin's disease. He's worked his butt off for teammates. Today it was payback. All week it was payback, and everyone is just so happy to see him win.
He's just making his way up towards the presentation area. You spoke about him being a popular guy, along with Jerry Ryan, who's walking up the hill with him now. We saw Rod McGee, the brother of Bradley McGee, going to also congratulate him as well. This is the general classification. Matthew Wilson going out the winner ahead of Steve Morabito. In 3rd place was Trent Lowe, and Trent Lowe is one of the big prospects for the future of Australian cycling. Best under 23 last year, 3rd in the general classification this year.
Those times, Matthew Wilson winning by just 3 seconds, 14 seconds to Trent Lowe. Dominic Rowland won the Portfolio Partners Sprint classification. Astana will have won the team. Simon Clark won the Provincial Victoria Best Young Rider competition. And Bernard Salzberger has taken out the Savings and Loans King of the Mountain. That's the classifications to David McKenzie and also Matthew Keenan. Thank you for your company to Ian Cohen and the entire crew. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the 2007 Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
Fire crews on alert across the ACT